Jason.
You're rusty.
What just happened?
You're rusty, man. Rusty.
I'm rusty. What's going on, everybody? Good. No one's watching anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Maybe my mom's watching today.
Back, DJs. Welcome back to the DJs Guru Hangout. Episode 12. We've been away for, geez, it feels like a couple months now. I mean, you know, there was like news about the reopening may be happening. And I remember we did a show, Jason wasn't there, but with DJ Shorty and Rain. And I did some Q&As. And then all of a sudden, it just went crazy. And I don't think that retailers, manufacturers, shippers, DJs, restaurateurs, anybody right now in the service industry is not busy right now.
Everyone wanted it to trickle in. This was a fire hose to the face. It was no trickling in.
Which is always what I knew, and I think you knew was going to happen too. It was just a matter of everyone had ready. They knew what they wanted to buy. They were ready to do it. They were ready to move forward. It just were waiting. You know, everyone was waiting. Everyone was on waiting mode. So anyway, guess what? It's no longer that time. We're in a real show. And this is the first time we've done a live show where you're working. I did a gig yesterday. Definitely check out my story on my personal Facebook page. If you are a friend of mine, it was pretty crazy. Jason's been working like a madman. Everyone I know is back to work. We're very happy. So great that it's 2021. Jason?
Yes, sir. And
Just Convict Jay, maybe, well, first of all, how are you, my friend? Thank you again, as always, for joining us.
I'm happy that it's on Monday. I'm hoping that everybody's not sleeping from the weekends, because this is now maybe our one day a week we could do this.
Interesting that you bring that up. We're going to be switching the show now to Mondays, and the hangout aspect of it, I think, makes a lot of sense, more so now that it's on a Monday, because Mondays are like the DJ's Saturday, essentially, right?
It's more like our Sunday, because then we get to take a break. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you say it like I'm not, you know, I've just been busy doing other things for DJs. You know, I don't have time to always work. But when I do, it's pretty good.
Listen, we could talk about nonsense, or we could bring in our green room special guest of the day. I want to bring him in because I'm excited.
Well, before we bring in our guest, I wanted to talk about a couple of things and just kind of catch up.
Okay.
First of all, you're not going, but
I'm going to get so much shit for this.
Coming up early August. I don't know if you're watching this, and hello to our DJs Guru fam. Thank you everyone who's tuning in on Facebook, on Twitch, on YouTube. Welcome. We're so happy to have you here. We're so happy to be back. Not just for the hangout, but for DJs DJing, like, and talking about we're gonna talk about gear and like how is your gig, and like it's gonna be cool. And not your indoor gig, your outdoor gig in real life.
Yep.
So we're just excited about everything, and welcome to everybody. So anyway, DJ Expo is coming up. The real life DJ Expo, DJ X now they're calling it. It's at the Hard Rock in AC, and I'm here in New York. Jason is in Connecticut. We're on the East Coast. So if anyone is watching any other part of the country, Atlantic City is kind of congested now into a few good hotels. The Hard Rock essentially is the one now. So the fact that they're having the Expo there, it's one of the better places to go now, Atlantic City. So I think it's really actually going to be really good. I think also because we haven't had one in 2 years. I think it's going to be really cool. Yep. I will be there in representation and helping out JMaz. We'll definitely be doing some hangouts and some meetups at the JMaz booth. Very excited for that. And I know RCF is debuting some really, really cool speakers. I'm going to have some footage on that, and we'll be doing some interviews over at the RCF booth. So I'm going to be covering the show this year. I'm not going to be selling anything at the show. Of course, you always know where to reach me, but at the show, I will be here there documenting and reporting back and letting everyone know what's going on who can't make it. But if you can make it, definitely want to come and say hello to me if you're there. So,
well, and you got to do a flat J. You got to do a cutout of my face on a popsicle stick and bring me everywhere. It's the rule. That's what you have to do.
All right, we're gonna have to get like a fathead. You have to send one to me. So, anyway, what's up, Brian? How you, my brother? DJ Sugar, PDX. What is with the PDX? Switch will have to tell us. But we're gonna bring him on. I think now is the time. I wanted to just give a mention to DJ Times and the DJ Expo and let everyone know what was going on as far as what I was going to be doing there. But we have a great guest tonight, and someone that I've worked with now a little bit as a contributor for the DJs Guru, who's done a video for us. He's going to talk a little bit more about his background, but he is one of the moderators of the Phase group. He's a longtime DJ, really cool guy from Oregon, which is like half desert, which I didn't know. But anyway, we're going to welcome our good friend. I'm out of it, man. Welcome, DJ Switch.
Yo, what up?
How you doing, my brother?
Oh, you know, I'm doing.
Yeah?
Good to be here.
Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. So let's talk a little bit about our relationship, how we kind of met up. And Jason, you're so quiet tonight. We're going to get to you. I know you're bubbling. I know.
Well,
bubbling.
You and I met on a soft August night. It wasn't raining, but it was certainly overcast. No, man. You know, we met like a lot of people do over the damn internet. I had seen you. I had seen you around the Facebook groups, different DJing Facebook groups, just because like you, Justin, are, and I mean this in the best way possible, one of the loudest dudes on the entire internet. And I saw you working and hustling and pushing for that company that you used to work for. And so like, I knew who you were, because you made sure of it. But then, you know, I had this opportunity, you know, the guys on my DJ crew, by the way, shout out to the Hit Squad DJs out here in the Pacific Northwest. My guys on my DJ crew started up a couple of those Facebook groups. Like we started the Rain 72 and 12 group. We started the DJM S9, and now the S7 and S11 group. And so we've got a Pioneer group, we've got a Rain group, and I had spent a little bit of time working with them, doing a little bit of light moderating stuff, and then when the Phase was coming out, I joined the Phase group, and the guy running the Phase group, like I think he started that Facebook group, but then maybe didn't realize how fast it was gonna grow. And so he, you know, he basically was just like, he was buried under a lot of like shit posting and a lot of like angry DJs and dudes that were like, you know, flexing egos on each other constantly. And so finally I just called him out. I said, hey man, you gonna moderate this page or what? And he private messaged me. He's like, actually, I could use some help. If you don't mind. I've seen your work on the other group, and would you be willing to help me out with this one? And I was like, yeah. Cut to a little over 2 years later now. Most of my focus now is moderating the Phase DJ group and making sure that it's a place where DJs feel welcome to post questions, making sure that it's a place where DJs don't get away with posting hour-long controller mixes that have nothing to do with a Phase.
Jason and I know, these groups can get out of control, and
yeah,
I've really, I run a group myself. We started one for the DJs Guru, and yeah, they can get out of control, and everyone has something to say, and we want to understand and appreciate, but there's certain ways of saying things, and I don't personally try not to let people run amok. But I know how.
I think it's pretty good, actually. I think the people that we have that follow the group are all really respectful. There hasn't been any like real rabbit holes of fights or anything.
No.
Because we got a lot of the stuff out of the way early on. Like we talked about the different softwares, and so there's no this is better than this and the speaker's better than that. So people are like, unless they're going to fight over egos, and you don't know that guy's ego if he's halfway across the country, then go somewhere else.
That's a lot of what it is, man. It's DJs and egos and people just having to be heard over whatever opinion pops in their head, and they can't rein that shit in. So, you know, that's kind of our job, right? As
fundamentally, DJs
moderators
are loud people. You know,
I'm sorry. What? Say that again.
Yeah, exactly. Fundamentally, that's just, I mean, that's our personality. That's why we're DJs, I think, you know? So, anyway, so we did a video together, right? And and that was on the Reloop Stand Hub.
Yeah.
Which you love. Which I see that back there.
Yeah.
Nice piece of equipment.
Right there.
And why don't you talk a little about real quick about how you're going to be helping us out at the DJs Guru and contributing with content and reviews and different things like that.
Well, I'll tell you, man. I'm really stoked to be collaborating with the DJs Guru because you know, there's being a DJ, especially one who kind of grew up in a computer store and is very entrenched in the nerd community and the online culture as long as I have been. You know, I see basically two conversations happening when it comes to DJing. One is DJs talking to other DJs, and then two is DJs communicating and entertaining their audience, right? And so, you know, I have a YouTube channel, and I have very little interest in reviewing DJ equipment, even though I love it, and like that's a big part of the reason I became a DJ is because of the cool tech that DJs get to work with. But I don't have any interest in reviewing that tech for my DJ channel because my DJ channel is a conversation with an audience, not necessarily with other DJs. And so here comes Justin, who, even though he's loud, as we've established, it happens to be also a fantastic person, and you know, open and understanding and open to ideas and that sort of thing. And so I go, hey man, I want to do reviews and I want to create content for the DJs Guru, because I want to have an outlet where I can create that kind of content, talk to other DJs that's outside of my YouTube channel, because I don't think it'll fit for my YouTube channel. But I still have a lot to say on that. And so the DJs Guru sort of came along at sort of a perfect time for me. And so I jumped at the chance to review that Stand Hub for two reasons. One, because I wanted to start down that road of reviewing products, but also because, you know, that Stand Hub solves a very specific problem. And I talk about this in the review. It solves a very specific problem for Phase users. And obviously, as a moderator for the Phase group on Facebook, that's very important to me. And so if you watch the review that I did of the Reloop Stand Hub at the DJ Guru's YouTube channel, you'll see what I'm talking about. It solves a very specific power problem because the Phase unit draws all of its power over USB. Right. And the Reloop Stand Hub is fantastic because it can deliver enough power for the Phase to function properly and solve a lot of the technical issues that Phase users have been fighting with for the last couple of years.
Speaking of technical issues, how do I sound? Any better?
You sound good. It's just low.
I don't know why that is, but anyway, I just realized I was on Wi-Fi because I had to restart the computer. So anyway, so yes, and I'm glad that it solved those technical issues for you. Switch, and I'll let you get right back to that, man. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure and see.
Well, let me just jump in real quick too. I mean, part of the reasons why I'm doing this is everyone would think I would be doing it and talking about speakers the whole time because that's the world that I come from, but I don't want to talk about speakers. I want to talk about other cool technologies that people don't know about or don't think that they need. And with us doing live streaming and being stuck at home, the USB microphones, the interfaces, you were telling me about the Rode, podcaster that you're using, like that's the stuff that like people want to know about firsthand, not like, oh, Jay's going to talk about RCF again for an hour. Like nobody wants to hear me talk about RCF anymore. So yeah, that's awesome. And you're right on spot on with that, with the stand, with the power in it, especially being in the Phase group. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, but that's exactly it, man. Like there's so many more dimensions to like, I don't want to speak for you guys, but for me personally, I became a DJ for two very specific reasons. It's because I love music and because I love technology. And I love being like, I love collecting records and I love listening to music and sharing music, but also I love computers and I love gadgets. And, where else am I going to marry those two so evenly as to become a DJ? And I figured that out when I was 14 years old, right? So, I'm 37. I'm 23 years in the game. And it's because I figured out way earlier probably than I should have what I wanted to do with myself. And boy, did that piss off my high school teachers. But here I am, man. Like, I bought a house last year, building out my studio finally, and getting it kind of where I want it. And, And I'm stoked to kind of, be in this position at after a long time of struggling and fighting and doing the whole starving musician thing, and getting myself to this place.
So your background is primarily nightclub work. You don't do private events.
No. Well, so like I said, 20 years, right?
In.
I mean, not when I was 14.
Right.
Yeah, I started out at my high school, and then my first job was actually at an ice rink when I was 16. Before that, I was just doing stuff around my high school and then doing a couple of parties for like some of my high school friends and stuff. 16 years old, I got my first job at an ice rink. Did that for 3 months, spent more time mopping floors than I was actually in the DJ booth. So I was like, all right, I'm out. But then when I was 17, I got my job at a local multi-op doing weddings, private parties, events, all that stuff. And then I ended up doing that for the next 8 years, working for a couple different multi-ops. And after about my 7,000th chicken dance, I said, no, I'm out. I can't keep doing this. I actually quit DJing for 6 months. And then I met this dude, DJ Sugar, who's actually in the Twitch audience right now. And he kind of, I was like, yeah, I want to DJ, but I don't want to do weddings. He's like, cool. I need somebody that can work in this shithole bar with the ceiling falling in and the stains on the dance floor and stuff. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, you work here so that I can go downtown and get us some better gigs. I'm like, okay. And so we did that. And I worked at that, little bar that's not even there anymore, for maybe 3 months. And then Sugar landed me my first gig in downtown Portland. And then from there it was, all right, I'm a club DJ now.
Nice.
Yeah, got my first residency the year after that and never looked back.
Very cool. So speaking of DJing and you being a DJ and us being back in the theme of this event and this hangout tonight, and thank you everyone again for tuning in. Really appreciate everyone watching on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch. So let's talk about, and Jason, I'm going to give you the floor on this because you're you got monikers that have you...
Hold on, I have to Google the word monikers. I don't know what that means.
AKA, also known as...
nicknames.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
plenty of nicknames.
That have you, doing all different types of events, but not just DJing, I always say, and I think... DJ Switch over there said it earlier too. It's not just about doing one thing. It's about
I'm right there with him
and looking at an opportunity of an event, right? And how can I maximize my own dollars and profit off that event? We had these LED robots at this event yesterday, and some people are like, all right, how much would it be to rent that guy? And then I'll charge $100. And I'm like, all right, how much is the LED robot suit? Because I'll just buy the suit.
Oh, no, those things are crazy expensive.
All right, but you know what? But, if you're going to do it, do it. You know what I mean? And then you own it, right? And then then it's all yours. You don't have to worry about the guy showing up late. You don't have to worry. So I'm just saying, not everyone has the ability to go out and buy an LED robot suit. And they're not that expensive depending on where you're looking. So, and my definition of that could be different than others. So I don't want to sound trite. But anyway...
So you were asking me.
I look at that and I say, wow, there's a lot to happen. There's a lot you can do and not just play music. So, Jason, first of all, what's with the Just Convict Jay?
Well, because I'm in Facebook jail, so that's why we don't have all of the viewers tonight. Because I bring thousands to the show, so they're not watching because we can't share it. I'm in Facebook jail because of a post I put in the DJs Guru, which I really hope someone in the group didn't report me on that. So. I was upset with a micromanaging wedding planner, and I told her she needs to go and park cars for a living. So, but I colored it with some nice words. Anyway, so I got 15 more days, and but it's very liberating actually because I'm not getting in trouble. But like what Switch was saying, he grew up in a technology family. His dad with the computer store. During the pandemic and not being able to do certain in-person gigs, I was going down that same road. The technology thing is what kept me happy. Learning how to live stream, understanding video cards, buying software, and learning, vMix and OBS and Yardstream and all these fun things. It was a blast. And then what was crazy is that all the stuff we learned during the pandemic I got to use in-person gigs for graduations, for live streams for those. And I did a couple dozen of them, and I really enjoyed it, doing the whole streaming from a place so that other people could watch. So all the technology was great. What happened? Am I by myself now? Where'd everyone go?
Yeah, man.
I'm here.
No,
I'm here.
you're talking in the background, Justin, but you didn't pop back in. So
no, I was going to share it a little bit, but I want to let you do your thing.
yeah, so that's but I said it earlier. I was like the gigs did not trickle in. It was a fire hose to the face.
Yes.
People are still calling. It's wild right now. And I made a joke a couple months back about we're going to start doing parties on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and we are. Like, that's how crazy things have gotten. So it's good, but I feel bad for the people that are having parties in August because we're all going to be burnt.
Only so many dates. So post-pandemic DJing. Now, I had my first in real life gig back last year. It was in a backyard. So it's not the same as what you guys have done, Jay. I know you've worked inside catering halls and different things like that. I mean, this guy had to be vaccinated before he could even work. So it's definitely different now. Switch, talk about, you could talk about the clubs and what's been going on. I know Oregon has been different as well. So
yeah,
you talk about your thing first. Let's give you the floor first, and then Jay jump in when he's done. Okay.
Sure.
Well, I mean, so I can't speak too much to like what's happening with the club scene in Oregon, mostly because like literally a month after the pandemic hit and we all ended up being in lockdown, I was on a Zoom call with my DJ crew and I was like, hey guys, you should know I'm not going back to bars full time. I will play a bar gig. I'll play a club gig, but for a long time I had been sort of splitting my focus between what I consider my passion part of my career and my professional part of my career, the part that what basically felt like I had to do to pay my bills, and that was a lot of the bars and nightclubs and stuff. And so I'm kind of hearing through the grapevine some of my guys out here that like we've got bar owners that are trying to get away with like paying $100 a night, and DJs that are taking it because they haven't worked in a year and a half. It's kind of a weird scene right now. It's like all of the little shady stuff that bar and club owners were doing to get over on us before the pandemic is all kind of been magnified by the pandemic.
Because I definitely we feel that here a little bit in New York too. I work with one of the bigger DJs here in my area, and so if you're a DJ that has a following and makes a good amount when you work, they're not really interested in that right now because it's just like in manufacturing, like they can't handle the orders. They don't want orders,
or they can afford it.
All you have to do in a post-pandemic world is open the door. So I was at a bar and literally the music stopped. It like skipped, and I'm like, oh my God. No one did anything. They just kept dancing. They were just so happy to be out. And I'm like, 6 months later, they're going to be pointing at you going, what, making fun of the DJ and all that. So I'm like, this is crazy. Like, it's the greatest thing. And everyone's a great DJ right now. It doesn't matter what you play. I heard Hootie and the Blowfish, and they were singing along to it. So, yeah, it's a different world, but it will, it won't last like this.
Hey, man, Hootie had jams, though.
Hootie still has jams.
I'm saying, like,
come back.
No, all that early 2000s like pop punk stuff, it's huge right now. All American Rejects, Sum 41. Like, you go to a bar and play that stuff, it's because everyone that's in a bar now was listening to that when they were in 8th grade. So now it's cool for them to reminisce. That's the throwback.
Yep. So, Jay, talk a little bit about, and you're in Connecticut. So talk a little bit about some of your happenings, especially since you've been in jail there. It's like they don't even exist anymore.
Well, it was difficult out here because I live in Connecticut, but 90% of my gigs are based in New York, and New York was the strictest when it was coming to CDC guidelines, and all the DJs that wanted to work got out and got vaccinated, and then nobody's checking, so everyone's pissed off about that. So we went out, we got vaccinated, nobody cared that we got vaccinated, and then after we got vaccinated, all the laws got lifted anyway. So we're back. Connecticut was a little bit lighter with the restrictions than New York were, and because we were so close to the border, people were pushing a lot of gigs up into Connecticut, which was good because we started doing actually in-person events a lot sooner. The bars didn't come through as quickly as the private stuff did. I actually did a bar on Friday night. It's in New York, in Newburgh, right on the Hudson River. I mean, on a good weekend, Friday or Saturday night, it could have 3,000 people between the inside and outside, and there was maybe 800. And it's not because of the restrictions, but I still think that the youth of America are still following a lot of the guidelines, and they don't want to be out in those environments. So there are people that are still staying home, so we're not getting full capacity. But it was weird for me too to be out in a place like that with that many people, you know. And then of course everyone comes over to you and they're right up in your face showing you the phone. Can we hear this song? And I still get a little sketched out about it too. And it's going to take some time for everybody to really put it behind them. But it is coming back. It was nice to go and do a club and not have to, you know, worry about it just a wedding or a bar mitzvah. The private side of stuff has been out of control, and I feel bad for the people that are trying to plan things, because the good DJs are booked up, the bad DJs are booked up, the cheap DJs are booked up, the expensive ones are booked up. So it's really tough right now to you know, if you can find somebody that has an availability between now and December, you're going to be a lucky person. So.
And what's so funny is not, and like I'm telling you, I think I'm just gonna do backyard parties as long as I can forever, because people are willing.
Listen, other than the heat, they're the best. They're the best types of parties.
I mean, if you're friends with me on my personal page, look at my story, and just understand people are willing to spend money right now. They're happy, so don't leave money on the table when you're negotiating with the client. You know, be fair, of course. If you're off, you know, don't try to gouge anybody, but don't leave money on the table, because people are happy to have these types of events. Yeah.
Well, this is where you make the relationships. This is where you can slide in with new contacts, different types of schools, different types of, you know, municipalities in your town. You really just got to get out there and do it. And then you do the right thing, and they're going to call you back forever. So, I mean, there's a ton of opportunity right now. It's just a matter of what direction you want to go, and you just got to, you know, figure it out and do it.
Jason.
Yes.
Switch.
Yo.
I just finally got a chance to share. So I want to say hello to everyone watching, and say hello to everyone on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. We'll say hello to our audience real quick, because we like to do that. Switch is an interactive show. So if anyone out there has any comments, questions,
it is?
whatever. Yes, it is. Please feel free to drop them down below and ask us anything you need. We'd love to hear from you guys. This is a hangout, so we're just DJs hanging out like we're at a bar right now. And literally, you got a guy in Connecticut, New York, and Oregon. And the guy in Oregon's wearing a dope hat.
I'm ready for it to start like moving
about
and like be like a Mario.
This weekend, like it's like Howard Stern for DJs. So anyway, let's say hello to Brian again. What's up, Brian? DJ Sugar, how's my mic sound, brother? Any better? I just realized I got a bad connection to something, and I can't restart it now.
I was nervous when I'm using like a really old PC, and I'm like,
I went to a cold end on my computer because I'm using a PC now, thanks to Jeff. And if I leave it running all day, I have a problem when I turn it back on. So then I just do a cold. Anyway.
Broken 8 Ball's one of my people.
Break 8 Ball. Yeah, man. Hit Squad DJs. What?
There's my people. Yeah.
And Brian Twito. What's up, Brian? How are you, my man? Thanks for tuning in tonight. Agent Abel. I love it. What's up, buddy? Robert, I'm so glad that you're watching tonight. I didn't forget about your t-shirt, I promise. I was just thinking about you today.
I like when people say where they're from. That's awesome. Watching in Indiana. Nice.
Yeah, I like that.
That's dope.
My boy from Indiana. And I didn't forget about you, all right? I have your email. It's still flagged. I can hear everyone fine. Great. Yeah, see? He's got a problem. Anyway, so, Jay, what have you been doing, though? Like, what types of events?
So during the week, I do pharmaceutical dinner meetings where I provide audio and video. We're doing hybrid events where the doctor's not on location. I stream a doctor from one location to where I am. It's actually super fun. And it's only Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so it doesn't interfere with anything. And then it's primarily,
I want to do that. That sounds amazing.
So actually,
we
can talk offline
for DJs right now, dude.
So listen to this, Switch. We'll talk offline. So, it's a national company that books local AV guys to do these pharmaceutical launches during the week. You could bring the gear you could put in the back of a sedan. So it's like a wireless mic, one speaker, a mixer with a USB, so you could go to the software, and then that's pretty much it. And you go in, and these doctors that are like the smartest people in society are like, thank you for being here. We need you to make sure our microphone works. And like for us, it's like, this is the easiest shit ever. And the doctors are impressed
in the world, man.
Yeah. So it makes you walk out of there, you're like, I'm the best. And it's easy money. And I mean, I could link you up with the national company because you're not going to step on my toes because I'm only doing stuff in Connecticut. But you know, you basically communicate with them. And then all of the pharmaceuticals, they'll do a launch, and it could be in all 50 states. So they're going to need somebody everywhere. And they're like, we need a guy in Portland. We need a guy in Brooklyn. We need a guy here. And I actually enjoy that. I get to meet a lot of really cool people. I learn about drugs that I don't hope I ever have to take. And so I do that. And then on the weekends, I don't want to say I've been turning stuff down, but I'm basically, all of the little gigs I have to say no to because the weddings backed up from last year are just rolling over. The graduations from May and June were insanity too. I mean, I was showing up at graduations for high schools at 7 o'clock in the morning, rolling in staging and backdrops and live stream equipment and PA and setting up chairs and barriers for those. So that was fun too. And now it's just back to weddings again because people are trying to get them in before it gets too hot, even though in Connecticut it's already 90 degrees and 100% humid. Yeah. So the tent weddings are nice because we have less restrictions, but then you're also sweating your ass off the whole time and people are uncomfortable. And then the in-person ones, now as they're coming back, you get to at least be in air conditioning. So it's pharmaceutical, it's live streaming AV, and it's weddings. And I'm digging it all. And then during the day, I'm a sales rep for speakers. So it's, right now I was off for a whole year and now it's like nobody sees me anymore. So
yeah.
I thought he was mad at me. I didn't hear from the guy for like 2 weeks after talking to him every day for like a year. I'm like, I thought he was mad at me. And I'm like, there's no.
Listen, I'm just happy I have unlimited on my phone because if it was back in the day, I'd be like, call me after 9 because this shit's got to be free.
Now
paying for minutes and shit.
We can't. We used to have these 8:30 conversations that will go to like 11:30, and we can't do that right now. It's just too busy.
Well, and new stuff is happening. I mean, DJ Expo is happening. So that's every phone call I'm on is talking about that and how much everybody hates my guts because I'm not going. And it didn't work out for me this year. But what I'm most upset about is not having a booth at DJ Expo, but representing DJs Guru there and being your backup and going and doing that. I trust that your networking is going to be off the hook. So I know it's covered. But if I were to go, it was going to be as a representation of DJs Guru and not a brand this time. So
I'm just gonna I really am looking for I have a relationship now with JMaz Lighting and Ape Labs, as we know, and JMaz I met with at NAMM in 2020, and I just was really impressed with their product, and I really liked their people, and that they were based here, and they had offices and a facility here and serviced and warranted in the United States in California. Everything happened as it did, and now I have an opportunity to really dive in with this company, and I'm going to have the opportunity to not officially represent them in the sense, but because I love the product and because of how I'm working now for DJs, I want to really put a highlight on this brand because it's good stuff and it's very affordably priced, and it's something that I think deserves people's attention. I'm going to continue to say that because I'm not someone that wants to force anything on anybody at all. It has to enhance your life. You have to see value in it, and that's
so. Let me tell you why JMaz and like Ape Labs and JMaz and all these companies that are doing lighting are in an amazing position if we can keep the flow of goods coming into the country for now.
Yeah, I was
having a conversation with my DJ over the weekend at a wedding, and he's a guy that constantly wants to buy new stuff. Only because he loves to buy. We all love to buy gear. Our rooms are full of gear. We love buying gear, but sometimes it's not always practical. And, RCF might come out with a new speaker, but then you're thinking to yourself, now I have to sell off my other speaker so that I could buy these speakers because I don't need 16 speakers. But when you want to do something different and you want to spend a little bit money and you want to have your setup a look different than someone else's, you could buy more lighting. There's never too much lighting. So new companies like JMaz have an opportunity to really captivate all of the budget of a DJ that needs to spend the money, that wants to spend the money, wants to make their setup look different, but don't have to sell off other gear. Like, if I want to get a new Pioneer controller, I don't want $1,000 controller, and then I got to go buy a $2,000 controller, and I got to sell this one, and I got to sell speakers. People just keep adding lighting. So having these cool niche brands of lighting could change a DJ's whole setup. make him happy because he's buying new gear, and it just keeps them engaged in what's going on. So it's a great time for companies like that.
And for me personally, like, again, because of what I've built here, I represent in my own way every brand out there, and because it's not about me, it's about whomever I'm speaking with and what they like. And I'm gonna maybe make a recommendation, but if they're an ADJ person, I'm gonna continue to sell them ADJ. ADJ is a great brand. Chauvet, same thing. I love these brands. These are people that I know for a long time. I'm not divorcing them by any means. I'm still able to get that type of stuff for you. I just now have this personal relationship over there, and I didn't have the opportunity to really market it before, in a sense. So, it's really nice to be able to kind of be unfiltered in what I can do, and I'm excited for Expo. And Jason, we're gonna miss you, buddy. Jason Longobardo and Jason Palermo. What's up, buddy? How you doing, Jason? You're not gonna bring the party Jeep?
I know. Imagine the party Jeep at Expo.
PartyJeep.com?
Man, that would have been awesome.
Give 'em a
Like
free
inside and then outside, it would have been sick.
Yeah, I know.
The party Jeep, I take it, is exactly what it sounds like, right?
100%.
It's that simple, and it's
That's
awesome.
amazing. That's amazing.
He's got it like matte gray or like a matte brown. It's got like Ghostbusters logos on it. His DJ booth is above
real?
the roll bar. He's got lights all
It's
over
dope.
it. It's like fucking bonkers.
Those
Yeah.
Ghostbusters?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all that.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
Follow him, Jason Palmero, and he puts up. He's got lights
Palermo.
on Jeeps that I didn't even know could exist.
Jason, put
That's dope.
put a link in the comment. Yeah, put a link in the comment, Jason. Jason, of your site, if you have it, or your Instagram or whatever. Give us something that we can
See, and what's crazy about what he does is he blows the transmission on his Jeep, and now it could be a work write-off because that's his.
Love it. See, everyone is so afraid of the pandemic, and I understood that, but I also understood that when you have chaos, there's such an opportunity for opportunities, an opportunity for new things to happen and to sprout up. And I don't want to throw too many cliches out there, but good generally follows bad in my life. It's very interesting. Now, talking about after COVID, AC, I think AC, right? It used to be what, BC and AD when we were young, and now I think it's going to be AC, which is after COVID. And I think that's how people are going to refer to 2021 and beyond, like after COVID. I hope. Anyway, let's talk about
our
gear.
kids are definitely going to talk like that. I mean, that's what it's going to be like. They're going to reference it from this time,
right? They are.
Yeah.
So let's talk about gear. I'm excited about this. I love talking about gear.
Well,
So-
I think we hit it out of the park with what you put up this week with the XVive or XVive transmitters. I mean, I've been using them. I put you onto them, and now people have been talking about it, and that's really cool that we get a couple $100 like can change a DJ's whole gig, and that's what gets me excited.
I used it for a monitor yesterday.
Switch, did you see that video of that he put up with those little transmitters?
I haven't seen that one yet, but I know what you're talking about. They make different transmitters for a few different applications. I was actually looking into them because among other things that I do as a DJ, I'm also in a hip hop group, and I work with a local MC out here that actually my boy Mighty just broke 20,000 on Spotify, which is super dope. 20,000. I guess they call them monthly listeners. They don't call them subscribers, but yeah, 20,000 monthly listeners on Spotify as of like 2 days ago. But yeah, so my boy Mighty and I are talking about possibly doing a Canadian tour next year. And so I've been looking around for in-ear monitor solutions. And I know X5 makes a wireless in-ear monitor solution that's very affordable and has some really great reviews.
Nice. Well, stay in touch with us because we'll definitely get you in front of the right people to buy it. So,
man, that's awesome.
Well, you know what? Again, what you have in retail is you have big retailers, right? And they make deals with manufacturers, right? And if they are selling A, B, or C, sometimes they can't sell D. So like I've removed myself from that. I'm kind of like a buyer's agent now, and it allows me to really kind of open myself up to a brand that maybe I would have not even looked at before and say, yo, all right, let me just take a look at it. And when I got that X5, and that's just one example, but I'm going to continue to do this, I couldn't believe it. And then we tested it, and you can go on my YouTube page at the DJs Guru, and you can see it. None of this stuff is filtered. the thing was great, and it I couldn't believe that.
Well, let me tell you this. I mean, if you know anything about me and my history, and I mean, obviously Justin does with Twitch. If you don't, or if any of the people that are watching, I've been in product sales and demonstration my whole career. And it's a manufacturer might have a certain intention when they build a product, and their intention doesn't matter. It's the end result that matters the most in what they make. But a lot of times they don't know who to market it to.
The DJ started on a product that wasn't made for them.
Right. So what's happening is, and I mean, I'll give a good example, and I'm not saying anything negative about the company.
Those turntables right there, they were definitely made for home theater and not for DJs.
Oh yeah,
no, they weren't. And the break beats on the disco records weren't made for DJs either.
Right. I mean, but if you look at a brand and you buy, let's just say you buy a powered speaker, and they have really great graphics on the box. It's usually a guy playing a guitar or a female singing or something like that. Nobody ever thinks to market to a DJ because the suit and ties high up in these manufacturers, which I've been that guy before and I've been in those meetings, are like, DJs don't have any money. They're not making any money. They're not doing anything. And then I'm in that meeting saying, what are you talking about? I'm like, that DJ on the weekend might make $2,500, where that female singer who's amazing, she makes $100 at a gig. So you're marketing this $1,000 speaker to somebody that's making $100 at a gig, and the DJ's making 20 times that. Why wouldn't you want to captivate that person's attention for the product? Yeah, okay.
Truthfully, dude, and I can speak to this, I think, better than most people, we're a very difficult customer.
So what?
Really
but we spend more money.
In a lot of ways. In a lot of ways. So, like, some people can't handle DJs. Like, we used to have to hire, I used to have to hire customer service agents, and, like, the first thing was, like, you have to have thick skin.
Well, it's not that we're more difficult customers, and I've worked in the retail, like where you come from too.
We're very emotional.
Well, and this is why we're emotional. Think about it. If you have a guitar player, spends all his life learning how to play
guitar.
You're
all out there. You're all emotional.
Everybody's emotional. So listen,
it's true.
It's
true.
You're emotional. I'm just
you got a guy. You got a guy that plays guitar. All he's thinking about is playing guitar and the tone that comes out of that amp. When he goes to a gig, it's typically a clusterfuck unless one person in the band is like, I'm going to focus on the technology. I'm going to run the mixer. I'll bring the PA. And then the guitar player could worry about his guitar. The bass player worries about his bass. The drummer's going nuts because he's mixing everything. When you're the DJ, you don't have that support. You have to do everything. You have to control the lighting. You have to control the PA. You have to be an MC. You have to get music. So when we buy something, we expect more customer service because I have to learn the lighting software. I have to learn the DJ software. I have to learn, powered speakers and placement. So I'll call Justin at the DJs Guru and say, I need this to work with this and this and this and this. And it might sound like we're less educated or we're more frustrated, but in reality, we're taking on the role of 5 people where a musician is like, I'm just worrying about my drum set and leave me alone. If you're not doing the right thing, then you're not doing the right thing. So we are a different beast, but we have the money. And my job is to show manufacturers you're missing out if you're not targeting our market. And when we brought that wireless transmitter in, they really didn't know the market. And I was like, I'm going to bring it out there, put it in front of DJs, and you're going to see how quick they run to buy something like this. So
you see the exact same thing in the hip hop scene though, because hip hop is just one of those art forms that like a lot of people don't take seriously. And my MC and I, when we go and do shows,
multi-billion-dollar industry. Who doesn't take it seriously?
There's a lot of people that like when a hip hop artist goes walking into like a store, like a Guitar Center or something, like based on the way they're dressed or based on the way they carry to themselves. Well, all right, that's fair, but I'm just saying as an example because who has brick and mortar anymore, really? But what I'm saying is as an example, like my MC doesn't handle all that stuff. He puts that on me, and I'm happy to shoulder that because I'm a massive tech nerd, and so like it's kind of easy for me to take on that role in my group. But like when we roll up into a venue and I start talking with the sound guy, and I'm like, all right, so we have drums, so we're gonna need this and this and this and this for the drums. My rig is pretty self-contained, so all I need is a DI box, and the sound guy will immediately look at me and be like, wait, what?
You just said DI box, and now you're like,
I need a DI box.
Yeah, and he's like, oh my god, thank you.
Oh no, I'll take it a step further. I brought my own. Do you want to use yours or mine? It's a $40 box that lives in my backpack.
Yep.
Jason.
Yes.
I know what your answer is going to be switched, so I'm going to ask Jason. So we're talking about gear, but I want to I'm curious and I could bring up a product. We talked about X Vibe, but like for you, other than that, has there been anything new, a gadget, a piece of gear that you purchased that you're now using?
Yes,
that you
and if I
never
talk
had
about
before?
it aggravates people because they
and
don't
what
want
is
to
it?
give the sauce away. That's the problem. A lot of it comes within the software world right now. I'm big into all of the video switching, live stream type stuff. So, HDMI, USB capture cards. That was something that I spent months learning about and trying to buy the right one. Software to do all of the mixing and streaming, and not just like free ones like OBS, but ones that are actually used by production companies that are going on the road and are doing real streams for multi-million-dollar companies, not just Jay getting a couple $100 to live stream a graduation so that grandma could watch it. Because I'm in those environments too, but then I take what I learn and I scale it down smaller so that I could do it at our gigs. So a lot of it this year for me was all of the little Gazinta Gazata boxes, USB to HDMI, all of the streaming into the cell phone platform or USB-C, things like Phase.
Interfaces, like
interfaces. I mean, I don't want to talk about it today because we're not ready for it, but I got linked up with another little interface company that's going right after iRig, and this thing is a beast. So, when this happened last year, iRigs were sold out because nobody was making a product like that. Meanwhile, I made a video in March of last year telling people you could use a SL1 box, you could use your 57 SL, you could use an Allen and Heath, Z mixer, you could use all of these different things to stream.
Mix. Yeah, I mean all the Mackie Pro FX boards. I mean,
and people were like, "Well, why they have a USB on it?"
And then
this is why.
And then what happens is because there's no place to go with like that really knows or whatever. Everyone goes to social media. Or, why you ever want to ask a question to a group of 17,000 people is beyond me. I don't understand it.
I think people are smart enough to filter through the crap. That's why.
I just don't understand it. For me personally, it would confuse me more than anything. So I get it. Like you want to kind of sometimes people do that and maybe they already have an idea in their mind and they're just trying to but I find that to be a weird way to make a decision.
So I want to know since you know what Switch was going to say, I want to know what he was going to say. So what was your thing?
I thought he was going to say the stand hub. Because
he already said that.
Never used a laptop stand before.
Mute button, kids. Mute button. Sorry about that. I mean, listen, the stand hub's phenomenal, and I said as much in my review, and I think people should definitely check out the review. And to be perfectly frank, I think people should definitely pick up a stand hub if you're a DJ that doesn't have a stand or has never used a stand before, or is looking to consolidate your setup, because the stand hub solves a problem that I didn't even realize DJs had, which is it puts all your USB stuff in one place, and then you can plug one cable into your computer. It's so much nicer for setup and teardown. But as much as I love the stand hub, man, you gotta understand, six people in Paris broke the entire world with this thing, and have continued to innovate and have continued to completely change up the way we think about turntables, the way we think about audio technology. The tech that's built into this is so bleeding edge that there are international laptop manufacturers that aren't using some of the technology that's built into this still. They're only just now catching up to things like the 60-watt charging and whatnot that you can find on some Thunderbolt 4 laptops and stuff. So it's insane. It's insane what's in this box, and we still have yet to really tap the full potential of it.
Yeah, we're gonna do a show just on Phase. I did not think it was gonna say Phase. To be honest with you,
sorry.
I do want it's great because I want to bring this up because I did want to talk about Phase, because during the pandemic there was a big upgrade with Serato, correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so talk about that because there's a lot of Serato users out there that may not realize this, that are using turntables that because they announced this partnership and then nothing happened for a year, right? So
yeah.
Talk about. And I'm not, listen, I understand how difficult it could be sometimes for two companies to work together. I get it. So it's not anything
especially
bad to
when
say
they're
about either
different
of them.
parts of the world.
This is just the way that it works in life, right? We manufacturers and software companies a lot of times, I mean, even when Phase, even when they first announced the product, it took 2 years to come out, right? So they sometimes, and I get it. We got
Again,
excited.
6 people.
It probably, yeah.
The whole company was 6 people.
Exactly. And you get excited and you're like, all right, let's do this. And then something happens and it doesn't work. And I think a lot of people are going through that right now in their life in general. But anyway, talk about FaZe, talk about the Serato upgrade, talk about that partnership.
Sure.
And then we're getting close to 9 o'clock here. So
I mean, so before I get into this, let me just make one thing very, very abundantly clear. I do not work for FaZe. I don't owe them anything. They do not sponsor me. I had no idea you were going to bring this up. And this is 100% just my opinion, my experience. My work as the administrator for the Facebook group is entirely voluntary. Because that's. By the way,
FaZe, pay this guy. Pay this guy.
It's okay. Like, honestly, over the last couple of years, I've eliminated a lot of the problem children from the group, and so it's a much easier gig now. I just kind of check my phone a couple times a week or whatever and make sure that people's posts are getting, approved or whatever. But
pay him a little bit less, but still pay him.
But here's the thing, man. Like, FaZe,
just give them free gear.
when they set out to do their thing, man, like, a lot of people saw the potential. They got very excited about it, but FaZe itself was a very, very small company, and so it took them a long time to get it as close to right as they could. And then they started running into some issues, and people got upset. And a lot of people were really upset because, as we talked about at the top of the show, man, DJs are full of egos, they're full of passion, they're full of opinions, and so all of that stuff was just being thrown at FaZe with like no remorse. Because DJs, there's a lot of DJs out there that just like they give 0 Fs, right? And so, unfortunately, the growing pains and sorting out some of the technical issues with the FaZe once it was out into the wild and people actually got their FaZe units, it took a little time to sort through that stuff. Well, they got a lot of that stuff ironed out, and then finally, at long last. After announcing it and then taking, a little over a year to finally produce a workable product, they announced, a collaboration with Serato, and in which Serato was going to natively support the FaZe as what's called an official Serato accessory, OSA. And so Serato started working on integrating the FaZe technology and the FaZe, sort of the software side of what FaZe does, into their own Serato DJ software, so that we now have what's called wireless mode or WIR mode, in addition to relative mode, absolute mode, internal mode, which any Serato user is going to be very familiar with. There's now another option there for FaZe users. You plug in your FaZe and it unlocks wireless mode. And what that does is it allows you to use the FaZe wirelessly without having to hook up RCAs, which does a couple of things. One, it means that the communication between the remote on the turntable and the FaZe unit itself is kept completely digital. So normally before this, what would happen is the remote would go back to the box, little FaZe box, and the FaZe box would output a time code just like a control record would, or a control CD. And so your Serato interface would read that as if it were a control record, and then it's just normal Serato from there. Now what they have is, instead of doing that through the RCA plugs on your mixer, they can just go straight in through the USB, go into wireless mode, and now everything's kept digital, which means the response is tighter. The software can correct for little inconsistencies, things like WoW and Flutter. And it's an overall just better experience to be able to use these little wireless devices with your turntables. And it's all great as long as it works. But there are still some little technical stuff that people are working through. And so that's a big part of my job as the admin for the group is to just sort of like tamper down a lot of people that get really frustrated and they want to post these long rants where they just basically are, burning their emotions into people's eyeballs.
That's really all it is. It's mostly project. I mean, social media, let's be honest. Listen, it's mostly projection. It's mostly projection out there, and I've, I'm, how much I'm on there, and I do it more for the business side, but I've had to learn to understand that and just like try to understand the root cause of why they're saying, and understand the frustration and empathize. That's a big word I'm going to be pushing. It's just empathize with other people's situation,
Well, I mean, look, it's a $400 product. $400 is nothing to sneeze at. That's still a lot of money. So if you pay $400 for something, you want it to work the way you want it to work.
100%.
And things can go wrong. The issue that I think a lot of people maybe don't understand about the phase is that it's a very, very complicated, very bleeding edge piece of technology that it's going to be. I mean, it might be another 5 or 10 years before it's quote unquote perfect. But part of the reason why I get so passionate about it, and part of the reason why I'm so on board with this thing, is because I see what it is, because I grew up in a computer store. I've been around the technology side of our world for a long time. Growing up in the computer industry, you see those sort of like tentpole moments of when things change, right? I was around when they introduced the USB port and how that changed things. I was around when Gmail was created. I was around when YouTube was created, right? These things that fundamentally changed the way we think about how we interact online and how we interact with these computers that are sitting on our desks or sitting on our laps. And so when I saw FaZe put this thing out into the world and how they were accomplishing this and the way they were going about it and how like utterly different it was from every other solution out there. Rain had a solution for the whole problem of using turntables in the 2000s, and their solution was to create a turntable that had no needles, right? It's a giant controller.
And a direct USB connection, let's not say, that is the one major difference there.
And let me be very clear. The Rain 12 is a fantastic product, and I'm a big fan of Rain. In fact, I've had my Rain 1 on back order since March. That's my one big gripe right now is I want my Rain 1.
So, Switch, I want to... Well, first
I want to... from the wrong place, my friend.
Eric, we're reading the comments, but Switch was going deep into...
I got a rabbit hole 1 and rabbit hole 2. Actually, rabbit hole 3, really. We're all rabbit holes with the way we talk.
Hold on. I'm going to back it up while you're reading the comments, Justin, because that's what you do.
I can't help it, fellas. I'm sorry.
Switch, you said something that's really important, and I'm going to give a quick story about a product similar to, let's say, like the stand that you're working with.
Before you do that, Jason, I'm cutting you off. I am officially cutting you off. Hit Squad DJs. They like J-Maz. It's good stuff. Everyone's going to say the same thing. Switch, you're bringing over the whole West Coast. Aloha.
Yeah, sorry about
that. Goodbye. And what else does it mean? Thank you.
That's my guy. That's my guy, Jay Shorn. He hangs out in my Twitch stream pretty regularly, and is one of my biggest supporters. Like full stop. Dude's an incredible member of my community.
Yes, I love it. All right, so we were talking about gear. Robert, his goal is to simplify for 2021. He wants to not lose quality, which I think is a lot of people's integration, right? Why bring 4 pieces of gear when you can bring 1?
Yes.
And he wants faster breakdown and setup, and that's definitely important. Totally get that, man. What's up, Sean? How you doing, my friend? Yes, we're talking about lighting. I know we've been talking about some things. We got to talk this week. I have to talk to you about some other stuff as far as lighting goes. I won't say it online here. We'll talk offline. DJ Unique, what's happening, my man? He was lucky enough to purchase and try the J-Maz Lighting Spot 100 here in San Antonio, Texas. Do you guys know I'm big in Texas? I'm big in Texas. Anyway.
Is that being bigger than in Japan?
I don't know what that means. No, Texas in general is big. I'm just kidding. But it's a very good product. Thank you for tuning in, DJ Unique. Great. Jason, your wife's starting her new job.
Oh, you're way back in the comments. Come on, get caught up, man.
And yes, if you want to check out the Party Jeep, at the Party Jeep on Instagram.
Okay.
And shout out to DJ Sugar PDX, who told us that PDX is the Portland airport. Right?
Yeah. So that's why he's got PDX on the end of his name. That's why PDX is on the end of my name. PDX is just the 3-letter call sign for the airport here. It's just a shorthand for the word Portland. There's other. This may come as a shock, but there are other DJ switches out there in the world. And so I just threw PDX on the end of it just to sort of differentiate myself and to kind of avoid any confusion. I am not an African girl in her 20s.
Oh, damn
it. May come as a shock, but she was on a big TV show over there. She's very popular. I am not that person.
No? Yeah, and we were talking about how Jason now turning his Jeep into a piece of gear, essentially. He is now we were just talking about how he's getting write-offs, so his Jeep's in the shop. All right, Dave, I'm going to show this, even though I get like weird when people say nice things about me, but I'm going to say it. Can't even begin to express the amount of respect and gratitude I have for Justin and the DJs Guru. Big love and hello from St. Augustine, Florida, my man.
That's what's up.
DJ
That's what's
Esberg. Thank you, my man. I really appreciate that. He even
I like his profile pic. It's nice.
Did it twice. I love that guy. He's a good guy. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that, man. And Eric, my man.
That's the DJ partner that I was talking about before.
He's going to be at Expo, and I know him and I are going to have a beer or two. And
you guys might end up making out.
I know we're going to be boys after that, so I love it. What's up, Eric? Thanks for tuning in, my friend. Jay Shorn. Oh.
I think he and Sugar were talking back and forth. Jay Shorn said aloha. Sugar was asking if he was out in Hawaii. Eric, but Jay Shorn's local here in Portland.
And he was talking about the Serato phase. And
yeah, Eric. You got to push him over the top. He wants phase, but he just dropped big money on Ortofon stuff, so he wants phase.
We're gonna get. Well, he said he just bought cartridges, so yeah. And those are pretty dope from what I've heard, Eric. So I think he got a good set there. Good job, Ortofon. Big shout out to them. I mean, them and Jinko pretty much are the only ones making cartridges at this point.
I got a pair of Ortofon 120S's that I love.
What's up, Jose?
Rest in peace to the 447s, right? So,
all right, this is just for you, Just Jay. Go ahead.
No, I was wearing your hat before, but I took it off because
live from Rhode Island.
Because Justin was doing a Guido party out in Long Island. I did the Just Jay blowout today, but I was wearing my Rewind boutique hat before, so I took it off.
You know, listen. At the end of the day, it's 9:00 here, so I want to kind of wrap this up. And
no, you skipped over my point, and it was right there, and I wanted to say it. So you can't close it down now because it's important. It's very.
I demand to hear his point.
No, because
okay. All
so
right.
it was.
I guess you guys are running the show, no problem.
It was coming off of your comment about saying 6 people worked at Phase to make that happen. So
yeah.
What a lot of people don't understand, and I'm gonna tie 2 things together. One is Kickstarter, and the other is how manufacturing works in our industry. If you have a company that's not tied to a multi-million-dollar brand already, whether it's in music or Music Tribe or whatever it might be, and you have a couple of guys building a product, they only have so much money for R&D, for building, for shipping, for marketing, all those things.
Yeah.
If they have a home run, people think immediately they're going to be multimillionaires and that it's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. And the story that I was going to bring up was when I was a rep, I got a call from a guy out in Seattle, Garrett Fitzpatrick. If you're listening, he's probably not, but love you, Garrett. He started Crane Stand with nobody but himself, a welding machine, and like a couple $1,000. And the Crane Stand turned into one of the most iconic laptop stands that didn't do anything with technology. And the reason why he didn't really last was because he sold so many but couldn't get money up front to build and bring in more. So there was no investors, there was no Kickstarter, there was none of that. So if people were like, why can't I get it? Because this guy is using his own money and proceeds from the few thousand that he made up front to fund the rest of his operation. So by you saying that Phase is like 6 guys, it's 6 guys and probably 1 guy's money. So you got to be patient.
Yeah.
You got to be patient when something like that happens. And if you're a supporter of Kickstarter, give them that money so they could build what they need to build.
I'm going to just say this, though, because, I don't want anyone thinking I work for Phase or like this was like the DJs Guru.com and what we review, like we do speak the truth, and I'll never, whatever. I'm going to be honest, they should have waited, is my point. To that.
Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you got to get that money coming in to keep going.
I don't.
If they had waited, they wouldn't have survived.
Unfortunately,
exactly,
because I work on the other end of that. I work in retail, and I saw how some of these things played out. It wasn't fair. So that's why I am a buyer's agent now, because I've always will side with the customer. Always, 100% of the time.
But
I
people get
understand
mad.
what you're saying, Jason. I get it. I'm a business owner now who understands putting their own money
cash
into
flow,
something.
Man. Cash flow is critical.
Here's the other problem that I don't think ever gets addressed whenever this conversation comes up, and it's that Phase is not playing the 2-year, 3-year, 4-year game. They're playing the 10-year, 15-year, 20-year game. They have fundamentally changed a technology that has been in DJing and been critical for DJing for 40 years, and they did it with 6 people in a room.
Real quickly, let me just ask the audience.
I'm with you, brother.
Anybody, what do you guys think? And anyone who watches, if anyone's still watching at this point, what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with me, Jason, with Switch? Do you own Phase? Like, how have you felt? Did you buy it when it first came out? Did you buy it and wait a year to get it? I agree with everything you've said. I'm bringing up the other side of it and looking to empathize with the customer because they bought the dream, right? That NAMM video that they saw,
right?
You know, that's what they bought, but that's not what they got.
Now, hang on.
That's where I come from.
Phase is also
I'm the
not
guy who has to take the phone call when the guy's upset.
Right, and I'm going to address that. So Phase is not for everybody. And here's how you know I'm not working for Phase, because they would fucking fire me for saying that. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on this. Sorry about that. But
it's the internet, so yeah.
But man, they would fire
on, though,
if I worked there. They would fire me so fast for saying this. Phase is not for everybody. Here's why I'm so passionate about Phase. First of all, I love the technology.
Getting fired isn't such a bad thing.
I hear that. First of all, I love the technology. Just being on the bleeding edge of what is fundamentally changing the industry is a very important move. It's very important to me as a technology fan. But also, I play a couple of gigs a year where I actually still bring out vinyl, bring out the crates, and drop the needle and do the thing without Serato. At least for part of it, like I'm not playing whole nights without Serato, or in this case, the gigs that I'm referring to are, so I work for a few nerd conventions. If y'all can't tell, I'm a massive nerd, right? So,
this is where I disconnect you when you start talking about nerdy stuff.
Well,
look at my
these
mixer
gigs
collection behind me. We're all nerds.
So these gigs are mostly revolve around the retro gaming community, and when I bring out crates of vinyl and I throw down a dusty 1980s copy of Rush 2112, they love that stuff, man. That's a big part of the reason why I'm able to hang on to those gigs. I've been doing that over 10 years now. And so, and now I've built it up from like 1 gig a year to like 3-4 gigs a year, where I bring out the crates of vinyl and I do the thing. So being able to use Phase and integrate that with real turntables and not have to give up that vinyl functionality for if I do want to disconnect Serato and go without the laptop for for half an hour or an hour or whatever, I still have that opportunity to do that, and I can't do that with the Rain 12. That's my one gripe about the Rain 12, and it's a fundamental thing about the Rain 12 that just will never. It's a fantastic product, and a lot of my DJs use Rain 12s and they love them, and I really like. I reviewed them. I have a review on my channel for the Rain 12s when they first came out a couple years ago. I really liked them, along with the 72. I think they're great products. It's just, when DJs buy something like the Phase and it turns out to not really be the right thing for them, they want to blame Phase. And I don't think that's fair to Phase.
Yeah, and I understand. I get that. 100%. I mean, I'm literally looking at 2 packages that were sent back defective that work. So,
well, listen, I'll give you another one.
Hold on, Jason. Just to be fair, the Rain 12 when it first came out, it had a couple of issues, firmware issues too. Minor, not like Phase did.
Right.
But any type of new technology is always going to have some hiccups. So yes, I want to
be
fair.
It's
so,
the
Jason,
company that's backing it. So Phase has good backing, has a good reputation. And in 2005, I worked for Gemini DJ Products, and they came out with a product called Cortex that is essentially everything that Pioneer makes today. That's USB based,
man.
And it bombed. The product worked, but it wasn't with the right company. So like if you look at Phase right now, no one has yet to copy it because they can't reverse engineer it, or they don't want to reverse engineer because it'll cost too much money. So they're the sole provider for that technology right now, and they're doing it. If it was sketchy at the beginning, but it's getting better and they're 99% right now, just look at Gemini DJ, who started Cortex, and where Pioneer is right now. So you could make that comparison and say, listen, Gemini brought out technology. That's the reason why Pioneer is the leading, USB technology right now. So nobody has copied Phase or has been able to even come remotely close to it. So you got to give these guys a little bit of credit and say, it's not like you bought a knockoff version of it or something else and it doesn't work.
Remotely close. I like what you did there.
100% credit. I just call a spade, and that's just listen.
And I'll tell you who
you're gonna love me, but you're gonna know where you stand with me.
And this would get me fired from Phase if I worked there and they said it. Phase is for the DJ that puts the tone arm back on the rest by grabbing the tone arm. That's who it's for. A guy that didn't play on vinyl when it was vinyl, but wants to play on vinyl now.
You don't mean like this instead of this?
Yeah, he doesn't grab the needle, he grabs the arm and moves the arm. That's who Phase is for.
Oh my God.
That's more of a joke than being serious, but that's who it's for.
No, but I get what you're saying. But I just remember always being so delicate with the turntable.
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth.
Well, listen, I think Techniques did it right with the
He
new
uses his
MK7 and having removable parts so that, you know, if your turntable shits the bed in the middle of the gig, then you're not screwed anymore. And FaZe kind of took away all of those variables to make that happen. And that was important.
Well, you know,
I mean, who remembers the needle with the 1/8-inch plug coming out of it before FaZe?
I remember that
question, Jason, and I'll say something about this first, and then I know, Jason, you have some background on this too. Let DJs demo product before purchasing. So
never going to happen.
Basically, is what the question is. Well, it's not never going to happen. What happens is that the big companies do have DJs, but they have DJs that are bigger names and or specific or have influence in the marketplace, and they're building.
The problem with that is they're not doing the same types of gigs. So the reviews, that's why people listen to us, because when I'm not banned from Facebook and I have a story of like, you know, I'm doing an AV job one night, I'm doing graduation the next, I'm doing a club the next and a wedding the next day. If I put up a review about a product, they're going to be like, Jason has some credibility to review this product.
It's just like running a business. You can't let the customers run your business. You have to manufacture a product. And
listen, you want to demo a product? Go to DJ Expo.
Yeah, but you can't make a product because how many DJs are there, right? And we all have, we're all different. So that's the whole thing that I'm trying to make people understand is like,
actually, the thing too is why should a manufacturer give you a product? Who are you? Make a relationship with that manufacturer. Get in front of them. Contact people like the guys at Pioneer. I know all the tech support guys. Nobody cares about the tech support guys until you have a problem. I'm friends with the tech support guys when there are no problems so that we can work on things when there are problems. So if you want don't think because your Twitch has 10,000 followers that Pioneer or Rain are just going to give you something. Bring something to the table for that manufacturer. Say I have a background in computer science, or switch what you do and say I can bring you an aspect of the technology that you're not getting from the DJ's perspective.
Well, and let me add on to one thing that Justin was saying is that he was saying, you know, like how many DJs are there out there? I would amend that by saying, how many DJs are there out there that have a very unrealistic idea of how influential they really are?
Well, 99%. Not even that. No. It's I don't even. That's not what I meant. I meant to the fact of you can't make everybody happy, right? Like I literally tried to make everybody happy for 16 years.
Right.
And you can't do it. So as a manufacturer, you have to make an executive decision to say, all right, these types of DJs who use this feature, we can't do it because if we do, it's going to be another $100 and it's going to make it $20.99 instead of $19.99, and then no one's going to buy it. And they reverse engineer things based off of a price point when they build something. It's got to be $19.99. It's got to be $1,000. It's got to be this. Right. Just like they do with cars. And then they kind of build it to those specifications, and you get depending on who the manufacturer is, you get what you get. But most of the big companies out there, Denon, Pioneer, the software companies that are using the DJ gear, they have plenty of DJs in their network that they are, we had Drew Bach on from Pioneer, Jason, and
Drew's the man.
This guy, all he does is talk to DJs and go back and forth with Japan and the engineers over there and relays all that information to kind of test stuff and break it. And they do that prior to the product coming out so they can get it as near to perfect as possible. I like Denon DJ's idea of their firmware and what they've done with their engine software because it's its own ecosystem, and it doesn't always require a new product. You can sometimes get all these new features with just an update. I like what they've done there. So it all depends on what your needs are, and that's why there's different companies. And that's why I always say there is no best. I have a Prime 4. I have a CDJ setup, and I use them for different things,
Right. So Jay Palmero says he wants the free products, but he wants to be able to get it. There's a lot of ways to do that. One, you could rent. I mean, I know where, Jay lives relatively close to where I live. So there's not like you can just, roll into a store and rent it. But there are production companies that rent big Pioneer rigs, CDJ 3000s, all that stuff. You could rent stuff. You could write letters and get Switch. You got hooked up with FaZe because of forums. Everything that I did where I got anything was through a forum or writing a review or doing a video for something.
We're all DJs, right? Don't we have friends who are DJs?
No.
Stuff.
No.
Like we've talked.
I don't talk to
a
other
group-
DJs
We have a group
ever.
but,
Oh my
like,
God, I only talk to DJs and it's exhausting.
But I'm just saying, like, build a network. Like, I have a lot of groups that I'm part of in Middle Tennessee and Texas, in different parts of the country, that they've built a network of collaboration within their area. So they'll share gear together. If someone needs to rent something, you can use mine cheap. Like, it's a great thing to do. Just for that aspect, and use your DJ's friends. Say, go on Facebook. Hey, anyone local to where I live have a XYZ? I'd love to try it out. You would be surprised how many DJs would be willing to help you.
Well, and look at this. Like, we don't get
DJs
paid
are
by
afraid
the
sometimes to
manufacturers
ask
to
for
do
help.
this. We do it because we all have a reputation that we put on the line every time we talk about a product. And I talk about products all day long with people that call me. I just had a conversation with a buddy about buying a microphone. At one point I was biased because I work for a microphone company. There's Shure, there's this, there's that. And I tell people, I'm like, what do you want to do? How much money do you have? And I'll give you what my recommendation is. But I'm also going to tell you that there are things that when I recommend it that I didn't like when I bought it, but it wasn't enough to say I wouldn't buy it again. And with a microphone recently, someone asked me, I was like, the technology in this mic is out of this world. He's like, what's the one thing you don't like? I'm like, it's got too much handling noise. But if I'm using that mic at a gig, and it's not a mic like, one of these, it's a handheld mic that we're using at a mobile gig, I can control the handling noise. But if I pass it off to a groom, he's not going to be able to. So going into that, if the cost of that piece versus the technology in it is worth it, if I say to them, well, the handling noise is a little bit much. So you got to listen to the people that have the only skin in the game we have is our reputation. Nobody's paying us to do this. So if you want to know what I think about a speaker or a mixer or a turntable, I'm going to tell you. So if you don't want to take that advice and you want to, sit here in the comments and say, I want to get free stuff, no disrespect, Jay, because I love you. But
Jason,
it's like, you got to do something.
Oh yeah, we're going to send you out the gear and you're just going to try it and send it back. No problem. Sure. Like,
that's what a beta tester is called. And you can
No.
be that person. You could be that person. You could be a beta tester. Drew Bach is where he's at because he always wanted to be a beta tester. That dude is where he's at because he would get in front of people's faces and be like, give me that. I'll tell you what's wrong with it.
It's the same as like getting gigs. Like, people ask, how do we get gigs at clubs? Go to clubs. Go to clubs. Talk to people there. Like, I got into all my places when I was young by putting myself, everything I have is because, yes, I'm loud. But it's a matter of putting myself out there and asking for what.
Do you walk into the club and go, "What's up, everybody"?
No, I just I became friends with people, and I'm a schmoozer, man. I that's how you do it. That's how you get anywhere in life. Is you build relationships, and then those relationships turn into something at some other point of in your life. So. I try never to burn bridges.
Well, and I'll tell you guys, I'll take it even a step farther. Aside from the whole hanging out in forums and stuff, like a big part of the reason I was even in those groups in the first place is because of my DJ crew, which I joined up with years ago. And the guy that runs my DJ crew is like one of the biggest gearheads I know. My guy DJ Clint that runs the Hit Squad DJs. He's constantly buying like all the new gear. He's constantly buying new pieces, changing up his setup. Dude owns Pioneer rigs. He owns, he owns controllers. He owns full rain rigs. Like, that dude is, he's a much bigger gear nerd than I am. And loves to like get his hands on all the stuff that comes out all the time. And so, what ends up happening with that is a lot of us in the crew have access to it, and we can go out to his place and play around with it. We get a chance to get our hands on it. I can learn my way around an S9. I can learn my way around a Rain 72. And then when I go out to a gig, because my boy Clint is also, he's booking clubs. He's got a couple of different bars around town that he books out at. And he'll leave his gear set up. So like when he leaves his Rain 72 and 12s set up at this one particular club that a lot of us get booked out of, I go in one weekend. I haven't been there in 6 months, but I go in one weekend and it's his Rain 72 and 12s. I already know that gear because I've already played on that gear. And so I can step up, plug in my laptop. I've already got the drivers ready to go on my laptop. So all I got to do is plug in and play and have a successful night.
We talk about that all the time. Just be prepared. Like,
yeah,
I mean, if just go out and play on other people's rigs, man, just do it. It's not like it's a Vestex mixer and 1200s and vinyl. It's like there's a million rigs now. Even though there's 5 manufacturers, there's a million rigs. Just learn them all. Learn them all.
It's funny, we're talking about like groups and I do want to wrap it up, guys. It's getting late here, but When we did that holiday
We're
hangout,
peeking at
first-
listeners right now, and you want to wrap it up.
Old man needs his nap.
Called the hangout. Brian Red said something that really struck a chord with me as far as how he kind of started doing what he did, and
I like that guy.
yeah,
Everybody
and,
does.
And ultimately, he just was just a guy that was just talking about what he was doing, but there was an audience of single operators, DJs that are on their own. They're on an island, and they want to talk about DJing and gear and whatnot. So they found him as like this oasis of like, oh, I can listen to what he's doing and how he's doing it, and awesome. So like, it would be great to have that. Like, do me a favor today or tomorrow, like put out a Facebook post to your area and get a DJ buddy if you don't have one. Build up a network like Switch has here, like Jason and I have in your area. So not only do you have people that you can ask questions on and you have a network, but you can go and test out their gear. You can ask them for help with something. You know, I know people that I just saw a post from my buddy that said he never had a chance to see this guy play. He had to rent the Dance on the Cloud machine from him, and it was just great that they never met, but they knew each other from this group, and then they went and helped each other out, and now they're going to be doing gigs together, and like
I've had that happen a couple times.
doors
Yeah,
open
awesome.
up, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, this guy texts you that you just rented something from. Hey, you available on Sunday? Something just came in. And that's how things happen. Like I think gotten to where I am because yeah, I'm loud, I'm out there, and people just remember me because I kind of force them to. But also because I try to connect with people. I try to help them, you know, and that resonates, and then people remember me and they'll come back to me. So we got to drop our egos sometimes, and we have to not be afraid to ask for help and like not be afraid to share, you know, like it's okay to share. No one else can be you. No one else can do it exactly the same way. So I'm out here putting all my content out there for free, but no one can do it the way that I do it. So I'm not afraid if anyone's going to steal my ideas or whatever. And we have to have that kind of same mentality. Sorry. Get off my soapbox now.
No, you're absolutely right though, man. Like even as a single op, you're only as good as your team. And your team is whoever you want it to be, and that could be a friend that's also a DJ. It could be somebody that you have that you're in contact with in in an online community. We got this dude that's been posting regularly in the Phase community. That's a radio DJ out of New Zealand, and I think his name's Jordan Lee. And dude posts these fire mixes all the time, and he's using Phase in every single one of them, and he's doing great work out there. And so we love having his stuff on the Phase community. But otherwise, I have no business knowing a guy from New Zealand, except that now I do, right? There's also this guy that does DJ gear reviews for DJ City. His name's Mojax. I never in my wildest dreams thought I was ever going to get to know a guy like that, clear on the other side of the world. Except that when the pandemic hit and I put out one little Facebook video that 12 people saw of my $12, audio interface that allowed me to start streaming online for the first time ever. And I just sort of showed how I set all that up with the gear that I had laying around my office. That was like back when the pandemic first, that was like April of last year, right? Right. When everything was.
Thing, yeah.
So I put that out on Facebook. Mojax saw it. He shared it with his community, and now like we're friends. We talk, and like now I'm friends with Mojax randomly for I have no reason to be friends with Mojax except that I am, and I'm super stoked about it. So like that's what networking can do for you. And then obviously because of networking, that's how I met Justin, and that's why I'm here, and that's why we're having this conversation and doing this. I'm clear out in Portland. Y'all are on the other side of the country, both of you, and yet here we are, and it's like we've known each other for years.
You know,
this
it's
is
like
awesome.
You got all these people in the world that are doing things I think the wrong way, using people, right, and without their knowledge. So like just
or seeing people as a threat, or seeing DJs see each other as a threat.
Yeah, but use them in a good way, like where they want you to use them. Like, hey, I'm not using this tonight. Go ahead, take it. Like, I don't need it. Like, I know you'll hook me up when I need something, and that's how I can save money. That's how I can, get something or grow to my next level without having to invest in that item right now because I only have it for one gig. But now I can take some video of it. I can take some footage, and then I'll buy it, and it's just life, right? Whatever you're doing, networking and just not burning bridges and trying to do things the right way, and
I will be the first one.
Good.
I will be the first one to tell you that my DJ crew and I, like, we don't always agree politically, right? We fight sometimes, like brothers. We have issues, right, that we have to work through. But at the end of the day, our whole crew was founded on that exact idea. We're going to share knowledge. We're going to share resources. We're going to help support each other. And the other stuff, we just do what we got to do to work through it. But at the end of the day, I'm still a proud part of that crew. Even though I'm not even going back to bars and clubs full time, I got other stuff I'm working on now in my career, which we didn't really get into too much, but that's all right. We can, maybe next time.
Speaking of crews, Jason, your boyfriend, he wants to know why I rush to end all the time. I'm generally in a
because
rush
he will
like
talk
Jason
about this and
Jason
for
has
hours.
To go. Yeah, because and people
Switch. That's actually he's my DJ partner.
I don't think a lot of people really want to watch
MC
us
in
for
our
that
crew,
long.
and
Maybe that's my
DJ.
own whatever, but and because believe it or not, I do have a life outside of this. I know it's hard to believe that. People probably think that this is all I do. It's mostly what I do, but
I'm telling you, after Expo, you and him are going to have a civil union together.
I'm
It's going to
sure,
be
because I know he's just as passionate as I am. I can feel that.
No.
I
Like,
appreciate and respect that.
he's on, when you talk about passion, he's on the Frankie Mainline level of passion for talking about DJ stuff. Like, you could
Shout out
sit
to
there
Frank.
and kill a whole bottle of Jameson with this guy and not even break the surface of how deep
Dude,
we go.
I'm drinking Blue Moon Light.
Oh my God.
Okay?
So
about Jameson.
do you have, before we go, I do want to bring up something because I've been thinking about it, and I don't know if it's like really weird of me to think this way, especially in light of the tragic.
Wow. Wow.
At least he didn't bring up the
7-second delay.
At least he didn't bring up the Hanson picture this episode, which is right there in the queue.
Thank you.
So,
Wow.
I'm sorry. I do that to him sometimes just to F with him.
So
he
we all
just hung up
When
on
I
you.
do this,
at least my bed's made in the background.
I haven't talked about Hampton. That's fine. We'll talk about it next time.
Well, you put up a post in the group this week, and we all know that we lost Biz this week, so that was pretty
Yes.
heavy.
Oh my
and
God.
we learned
So-
at a gig, like Eric and I were Friday night. We were at a gig. It was 9 o'clock. We're about to go on, and Eric's like, now Eric is really tight with following Biz.
Thank you for
and
bringing that up, Jason. Thank you.
So, and I mean, plus his kid was like diehard into Yo Gabba Gabba. So, when Biz was gone, I mean, it devastated my boy Eric. But there's nothing we could do about this now. But what I want to know is somebody needs to do the right thing and get those 7-inch 1200s and put them in either a museum or give them to Jazzy Jeff or Mel Starr and like keep that dude's legacy going. Because I'm a gear junkie when it comes to old stuff. If you ever come to my studio, I got shit older than me and more valuable than you can imagine. He's got the most valuable turntables, and I want to see them go to the right people.
I'm gonna flex a little bit here, but
tell me you're getting them, and I'm driving Long Island right now.
No. Quite a while, I was Biz's personal salesperson. He's from our area here, and I sold him his first set of CDJs. He's from Long Island, and like I put in my post. He never he's from Medford, and you'd be in Medford. I'm pretty sure it's Medford, but you'd be in Medford at like the convenience store. He'd just walk in, like
what up?
Yeah, and absolutely, and he was exactly the same person, 100% of the time.
I want to believe that he walks into every convenience store that way. He like every room that he walks into, he's just 100% Biz.
No,
he is.
And he did
That's amazing.
And
oh my God.
As he got, I know. Later in life, he needed people to help him around, so he would have a bit of an entourage with him if he came in. But most of the time, I talked to him on the store, on the phone, and it was always it was always fun negotiating with him. And he would always go, "Come on, that's the best you could do. Come on." You know exactly how he would say it, but so I personally know him. I also know him from the music and just being of the right age, because everyone knows I'm 29. And
sure.
Yeah, so I think this hits hard for a lot of people. Also, in this area, if you were at DJ Expo in 2019, Biz was there. And
Biz was there hard in 2019.
And he was just an attendee, dude. Like hanging out with BPM Supreme. I'll give them a shout out. And all the DJs that were there with them. But You suck. You suck. That was like the thing going on. That he
No,
was
he'd go
screaming
over
at
and
all
watch
the
you DJ and just stand over you like this.
Yeah, and I think everyone I saw this week, everyone had at least one picture with him from that show. I mean, but that's just the kind of guy he was, and you know, I know Sharon from Rock and Soul had a really good relationship with him as well, and he was always over there in New York City. But it was a big loss for the hip hop community, the DJ community. What's up, Jeff? My man from Canal. And he's, I'm sure, has met Biz and done business with him. I mean, literally, Biz he shopped local. He really did. And what do you have to say about that, Jason? I know, I'm sure you met him a bunch of times.
The first time I met him was actually I was working with Gemini at the time, and they did a grand opening of one of the guitar centers in Long Island. I don't remember which one it was. And they had like Sway was there, Biz was there. Flash was there, and you know, I got to meet him. I mean, and then I would bump into him at trade shows and stuff like that. But like, if you're our age and Switch, I'm assuming that you're mid-30s. I mean, I'm 41, so like, I'm still a little young to really even appreciate Biz in his heyday, like in the heyday. And you know, when he passed and people were sharing videos. I mean, someone put up a video from Rap City on MTV from him in '92. Now, people that know Biz from the mainstream know him for the song, but they don't know that he was a DJ the whole time. And like, let's just say he had 5 or 6 hits. And I know Eric is going to correct me and tell me exactly how many and what year they came out. But like, when you see him at DJ Expo and you're like, he's playing 45s, he must have just got into DJ now. It's like, no, that's what this motherfucker's been doing for 40 years. Well, you know, and it's like he had hits.
That really plays vinyl now, like the only vinyl, they don't want to carry 12-inch. That's really why they buy the 45s mostly, because a lot of times they have to have 2 as well, you know?
No, Biz had those 7-inch 1200s to flex.
No,
he went to Panasonic in Japan and stole them off the shelf.
Rest in peace, Biz.
I got a picture of me and Biz. I would have put it up, but I've been in jail this whole time.
I'm not a picture guy like that. I'm not like that. I don't need to take pictures with people, but it you know, I personally knew the guy, and nobody beats the Biz, right? Not my favorite Biz Marquee song, but nobody realizes that there was an electronics company called The Wiz. Nobody beats The Wiz, and he sold them that song as their jingle for however, I mean, you know how much money he made off the royalties from
Eric, you need to verify this statement if he's telling the truth on this one.
No, Eric, it's true. I know he did. He could confirm for me, but that's true. But he made he did things that people don't even realize he did, and he was a smart businessman. He had a good team behind him, and he was very talented. Like he came off
Gabba money is crazy.
He came off as like crazy and like, you know, but sometimes, you know, it's part of the act, you know. I'm you know, I can understand that. But
it was a bad loss for our industry.
It really was.
Hip hop and DJing and everything. It sucked.
What about you, Switch? You got any stories to tell about your
about Biz?
I know you never. I highly doubt he ever went to Oregon. No,
I did. I didn't. I mean, I've opened for a few people. You know, I opened for Twista. I've opened for Rakim. I've opened for I opened for Daz Band. Nobody told me, and so Mighty and I went to go open up at this festival thing, and Daz Band was the headliner. So like, Let It Whip, like those folks, they're still out and touring and doing the thing. But yeah, no, I never got to meet Biz, never got to open for him. But just as a longtime fan, man, like, you know, the remix that he did, the old school remix that he did with DJ Cool, for Lemon Clear My Throat. The stuff that he did with Dougie Fresh, and then of course, you know, Just a Friend, of course, the stuff that he was doing on MTV, and a lot of my friends that knew who Biz Markie was, like my hardcore hip hop fan friends, they knew his joints that he was on or that he was credited on or that he put out, but I knew him as the DJ, and I knew about those 7-inch 1200s, and I knew about the work that he was doing. Just pushing the culture of DJing forward just through his passion and through like using his celebrity to push DJing forward the way that in his way. And so like, I have so much respect for the guy and I have so much love for the dude. Like I'm definitely bummed that he's gone. and it's one of those like, man, I'm never gonna get to see him now, which is I think a big loss.
It's funny, it's weird that I have like this personal information that maybe not a lot of people know. He was very hard on his turntables. He beat him because I've never seen somebody go through CDJs before like Biz did, but I mean,
believe
he had to replace them. I want to say yearly, and it wasn't because of the product; it was because of the way he used them. But yeah, he.
But he also used them a lot though, and I've got a DJ friend of mine. In fact, DJ Sugar, who's been hanging in the chat tonight, like he's one of the worst that I know personally of dudes who's just taking his turntables night in. Like that dude will DJ to 3 people for a cheese sandwich. Like he will DJ for anybody, and so he is just constantly running his turntables ragged. And I know Biz was kind of the same way. That dude was working 9 days out of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean. And he was also a big guy too, so I mean you gotta keep that in mind too. He's got a little bit more torque on his scratch.
Big hands.
That's good, right?
Hey, easy. There's a lot of us in this chat right now that have a lot of extra torque
You're gonna be
on the
DJ
scratch.
soon,
But let's
brother.
just hope the hip hop and the DJ
I believe in
community
you.
put him in the place that he deserves and his legacy lives on. Because, like I said, he's an old school artist that, kids these days now be like, oh, it's the goofy guy on Yo Gabba Gabba. And it's like, yeah, but that guy, so like, let's just hope he goes down with the other DJs that, that we still have or that we've lost that did, people are saying true DJ pioneer. I mean, you have to be a DJ's DJ to really understand why Biz was so important.
Yeah.
People forget about his beatboxing was legendary. I mean, that was one of the things that gave him his springboard, in the 80s. So anyway, wow, this evolved into something that I didn't think it was going to. But
it's great. The hang. We weren't talking about specific gear, so I was like, we got to talk about bit. And
I'm really glad
you brought it
up
during the week, and I'm like, glad you did.
This is the Monday after a 10-hour gig yesterday.
The worst thing you can do as a DJ is pass away on the weekend because then no one's going to know.
I'm telling you guys, this laptop stand is amazing. You're never going to believe.
Anyway.
It's not as amazing as my Yeti cup, so.
All right.
Oh, no, what's happening to my computer?
Listen, guys, gentlemen.
Come back.
We got to get some Let It Breathe, Justin.
That's Eric's famous line, Let It Breathe.
Yeah, well, I compared this to Jason. If we have any Howard Stern fans out there, I compared it to, it's going to be like the show that Howard does the Monday that they come back after like a 2-week break, where they kind of catch up on what happened in the world and whatever and blah, blah, blah. And, they don't have a guest and they just kind of let it breathe. Yeah, I've just, Eric, you know what, buddy? I've lived in the corporate world for so long, and, you're not allowed to breathe so much in the corporate world. So you're on a schedule, and I think that's, I'm breaking out of that mold. So I appreciate.
Listen, don't get upset.
That.
He's a hypocrite because we'll be at a gig and I use that line against him. Like, Eric, let the gig breathe. You say it all the time.
I'm not upset. I am just a person who can take anything that anyone has to say and look at it for what it is. It's fine.
I don't think that's true.
One of my favorite quotes ever was from it was a 3-part interview that Thud Rumble put up on their YouTube channel years ago, like a long time ago. But it was Qbert talking with Z-Trip, and they were just like on a hotel room balcony or something. It was just the two of them on some like honestly, I wouldn't even say hotel. It looks like a motel room balcony. This place looks low budget, but the guys are talking and they're on camera and they're just having a chat. And Z-Trip was talking about Qbert asked him like, what's the one thing that DJs do now that you think that maybe they should be doing differently or that they maybe do too much of? And Z-Trip was saying, and this was like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that. At that time, Z-Trip was saying that DJs spend too much time trying to mix, trying to do tricks, trying to do transitions in out of stuff. He said at the time, he was saying that these songs are produced by professionals. They are made to be successful, and they're successful for a reason. So a lot of DJs don't just let the song play. You got to just let it play. And so the minute Justin said "Let It Breathe," I was like, that Z Trip interview just like popped right in my head. From I don't even know how long ago I watched that, but that was a long time ago. You can still find it. DJ Qbert and Z Trip having a conversation just on a balcony on somebody's like handy cam.
I'm lucky enough to have a great relationship and a partnership with DJ Shorty, who is in a legendary DJ crew with people like DJ Craze and Fife and a lot of other people that Faust. I'm sorry, I just said his name wrong. And a lot of other people that I would love to have something like that with at some point. We're gonna talk about doing something at DAM 2022. So I'd love to put something like that together and really hear from some of the legendary people, and that's part of what I've been trying to get to. We'll get there for sure. But I have some great relationships, and you know, everyone's working again now. So getting DJs to come on a show for a gift card or most of the time a donation may be more difficult now than it was in the pandemic.
Wait, you know, we never had that conversation. I'm supposed to get a gift card or something for this?
It depends on how I feel or how you do.
To Guitar Center.
Sometimes you get a thank you from me.
So I got another
sometimes
that kind of just came up while we were doing this. Switch. What camera are you using? Because
Same
it's
one
awesome. As me. Well, he's using it way better than you are.
He's got better lighting right now. That's why it's a same.
No, I think that out of all these shows that we've done, your camera is just sharp and it looks good. And I think a lot of people want to know about, you know, cameras and microphones. And what mic are you using? Talk about that stuff. Mic, headphone, camera. Tell me what you're using.
A Rode Pod mic that's plugged into a Rodecaster Pro. The headset is a pair of Pioneer HDJ X10s. The flagship ones, and then the camera is a Sony ZV-1.
Yes, and it's the same exact one I have. Again, I have a problem here. Never buy a product that only allows control with an app. Okay, that's my tip for today.
My lights,
freaking light. I can't connect the app, and it's not bright enough. That's the problem.
My lights were $30 for the pair.
I used to use our Ryobi light, and then I got like a Walmart ring light. Like my light was $12, and it has a remote. Like I could change colors and stuff. It's awesome.
As cool as this one though.
So what I did was I got a pair of like fairly inexpensive bowl shaped lamps. That were like what it was is it's made for desktop product photography. So it's very short light stands with very small bowl lamps that are made for doing like like eBay listings and stuff. And what I did was I took those, I replaced the bulbs with a couple of LifeX smart bulbs so that I can have bicolor control. Oh hey, Tiki Bar Cowboy, that's another one of my people.
Ask about the microphone swing arm.
Oh God, I've been having problems. I got this Gator microphone arm that's the middle joint has been kind of loosening itself up on me a little bit. I think I need to maybe replace this bolt in the middle just so it doesn't go loose on me when I'm trying to talk into it.
I want to say hello to real quick. I love cutting people up. It's what I do best. Brandon Blaine, DJ Darth Fader, who's going to be doing an appearance actually on a panel at the DJ Expo on live streaming because of his domination of Twitch.
Damn it, I'm not going, and there's a live stream panel.
I'm like Darth
I've seen that dude
on a panel at the DJ Expo doesn't.
I've seen that dude on Twitch. I know who that is. I've seen that dude on Twitch.
Oh yeah, no,
he's a Connecticut dude.
Know each other. He's a dope DJ. He's done amazing.
No, I don't know him. I've never met him, but I'm familiar with him. I'm familiar with his work. Here's the thing. This may come as a shock, but I am a huge Star Wars nerd.
You guys need to link.
And so when I heard about this dude DJ Darth Fader, like somebody kind of turned me on. He was like, "Yo, check this out." And then, so I checked out his stream. His stream's dope. Definitely approaches the whole like DJing on Twitch thing differently than I do. But most DJs do, which I think is why most DJs are more successful than I am on Twitch. But yeah, man, like like a lot of DJs, I went ham on, trying to create online content over the last year and a half. And that's why, I was able to, justify buying a new Sony camera that has clean output so that I can go into a capture card and get like a nice clean shot like this. It's also why I could justify putting a little money into the lighting, putting a little money into the production. What I bought was, check this out. This is kind of like a lighting life hack. I bought a 4-pack of LifeX A19 bulbs. And those 4 bulbs, I have 2 on me for key lights. That's the white light you see on me. And then the other 2 I just replaced my my ceiling lamp with the other 2. And that's where you're getting the blue color behind me. And I can make it whatever color I want. They're completely RGB.
It looks nice.
And boom.
What's
pro
cool?
lighting setup cost me less than $100.
Now that I'm building my own marketplace, I can take products and find products like this now and offer them up where you're not necessarily going to find all of that on one site, because you wouldn't think the DJ would use something like that, like on a DJ site or DJ Gear site. You're only going to find that at another type of site or a camera store or whatever. But yeah, no, it looks great. And the Sony ZV-1, I mean, I have no skin in that game whatsoever. Switch uses it. Shorty she has 2. I just bought a second one. It's, if you're a vlogger, if you're a DJ or an entertainer, it's an amazing camera because it's point and shoot. It's got the best macro, and focus, instant focus. It's incredible, and it's 4K, which you really need to be shooting.
I was going to ask that because I'm using. You gotta shoot
in 4K.
A Logitech,
if you're not shooting in
whatever.
4K, YouTube it automatically gives you a bump when you shoot on 4K because they want to sell their TV service, right?
Right.
And people want to watch 4K on their TVs. So if you post a video in 4K, immediately you're gonna get a bump. So when I started doing videos on YouTube, I had literally at one point 1 subscriber, but I was able to get my videos to the top of the pages because I was doing everything right as far as the camera, the 4K, and then the tagging and all that type of stuff. So the technology can help to get you to another point, and it is important.
Pull up Fader's comment right now because I think he's hitting on something really good right here. A DJ streaming list of gear or other shit that would be helpful for some guys. I dig that. Can we make like a Google Doc and share that and like add to it and stuff like that?
I can make a category of products on an e-commerce website. But yes, no, we could. What that would be is that would be a blog, and Brandon Blaine, we're going to talk about that. Yes, that's a piece of content in a blog.
Because I think a lot of DJs know nothing about cameras, and I mean, I come from a photography family, but I can care less. I mean, my last camera is a digital Rebel EOS X whatever from 2001. Like I have a Logitech camera that I'm happy with, but like I know nothing about cameras. That's why I was asking.
Brandon, I've already reached out to him multiple times. He's helped me with a lot of things DJs Guru related, including my logo. Thank you, my friend. And also, what I do want the whole reason why I started bringing him up was I wanted to shout out what we did in 2019.
2 years ago this week.
Yeah. And it's so funny because Brandon was just a customer at the time. And, all my customers kind of become friends, and then we can get to another level. And he reached out to me, and I remember initially I was kind of like, he's kind of asking for a lot, and then I kind of had a conversation with him again, and then we really connected on that conversation, and we really realized that we wanted to do it for the right reasons. And he put together the Society Social DJ meetup, right? And we got my former employer were involved, and we had Denon DJ involved and Rain, and we did this huge meetup, and I think it was like 80 people. Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, we packed out that basement.
We had like 80 people. Our buddy DJ Jay Freak came. His I'll give him a shout out at what's the name of it, Jay?
Rewind Boutique. He does all vintage clothing,
he does
jerseys. Sneakers.
Yeah, all vintage stuff. He had a booth, like a little pop-up shop. We had somebody from Crates and forget the name, but they had a clothing brand. Brandon, please put it in the comments. But it was dope, and I'm excited. Brandon mentioned it. I think we're gonna do it again. We gotta talk about that, Brandon. Let me know how I can help. And anyway, but it was just a lot of fun. So DJ meetups, yes, and are a lot of fun. And I wanted to say thank you, Brandon, for including me in that 2 years ago. And I'm looking forward to another one for sure.
Now that we could do it.
And yeah, we got to talk offline about what do you need to stream, and for what application, right? So, like Jay, you're doing live streaming from an actual event may be different than what
I'm there, like on a football field, live streaming, so grandma can watch it cross country.
Versus what I'm using here at home. Clearly,
my number one advice for live streaming an event: turn the comments off.
Pro tip.
No, they'll be like, sound guy, I can't hear anything. We're not going live for 5 more minutes. Like, I didn't comment back, but I'm like reading people. I'm like, wow, like they will light you up in the comments. Like some grandma will just lay into you in comments and you're like, damn. So turn off commenting.
Yeah. Grandma didn't come to play.
No, I want to see my baby graduate.
I mean, there's a lot there. I mean, obviously there's a lot of options in terms of like interfaces for doing live streaming and that kind of stuff in a professional rig. One of the reasons why I went with the Rodecaster, well, 2 of the reasons I went with the Rodecaster Pro. One, it has enough inputs for me that I can run. I mentioned I carry a DI box. I want to be able to run a DI box out of my turntable desk over here, run it around my office to go into my Rodecaster so that I can manage both my live streaming audio as well as this thing has speaker outs. So I can run 1/4 inch like a monitor line out to the studio monitors that I have here. And if I want to do it that way, I don't have to use the headphones.
Rode did it right. We actually should talk to somebody at Rode and see if we can get them on one day.
Well, they also
I love when you talk about brands that I have absolutely no access to and can't get or sell.
Good, because I gotta get. No, because I bounce it on you so that you come back to me and go, Jay, you can get them, and I'm like, yeah, I could.
I'll figure it out at some point, or I'll just point somebody to the right place where they can get it. I want people to know about good gear, whether I sell it or not.
The other reason I went with the Rodecaster Pro for my studio setup, for my streaming setup, is because there's literally a button. There's one button. You go into the settings for like on channel 1. I plug in this microphone, which is a Rode Pod mic. And they have a button that just says pod mic, and you push that button, and now all of the EQing, de-essing, it's got a built-in pop filter, it's got compression, it's got all of that stuff. Okay.
Why you gotta mess them up?
It has all that stuff. It has all that stuff, and you literally just push one button, and it makes this mic sound the way that it sounds. Which I am very happy with.
And what I like about that is it's all a button. There's no screens, there's no apps, there's no computer software. It's all buttons. Yeah, it's all buttons. So it's
and they give you
it's like an Ape Labs light.
And they give you granular control over like how much compression you can set, delay rates and stuff like that, attack time, response time. If you want to get into all that, you can with the Rodecaster Pro, but you don't have to. You can push the pod mic button, and then it knows that this is a pod mic, and then it adjusts accordingly.
Very cool.
Do you guys
want to talk about Toyota? Any cars?
Toyota.
Here's a fun fact. My wife's mother used to run the Toyota dock here in Portland, getting all of the shipments on the West Coast coming in from Japan.
Wow.
So, like, when my wife was like, I think she said she was like 14 or 15, didn't even have a driver's license yet, but she was like, She got to drive one of these new hybrid cars called the Prius that was coming into the States for the first time, and was able to like back it down off of a shipping container and stuff. Her family's like hardcore Toyota, and my mom's always driven Toyotas and stuff. It's actually kind of funny you bring them up.
So Justin, if I hit share screen, what's going to happen? Because I just want people to see what that Rode
it's going to share your screen
podcaster thing is. No, but then I get to pick which one. Let's see if this works.
Make sure you send them to show it on Amazon, Jason.
On Amazon, come on.
What's going to happen is a picture of Hanson's going to pop up.
There you
go.
There it is.
This thing is dope. I mean, I've been watching this thing since it first came out, and like I never pulled the trigger on it because I'm happy with my little setup. But this thing is cool.
I love it.
Roland has a mixer very much like that, right? It's like 11. I think it's a VX.
Yeah, but this thing's like half the price.
Yeah, is it? Okay. Well, Rode makes good stuff. They used to have a relationship with Bosch, I believe, or Electro Voice at some point. but they don't.
No, I
anymore.
think it was just the same distributor or something
Distribution.
like that.
No. Yeah, it was. There was a relationship in there, distribution-wise, somewhere, because we would go to the same people or the same reps at least to talk about road. But anyway,
Switch, promote your channels.
I can do that. First of all, thank you everybody for your time tonight, and big thanks to you two for bringing me on and having me out to the hangout. I hope we get to do this again. This is a lot of fun.
never.
So my name is DJ Switch. I'm from Portland, which is why there's a PDX on the end of my name. And you can find me at Facebook or Instagram.com/DJ Switch PDX. You can also subscribe to me on YouTube.com/DJ Switch PDX. Or you can find me streaming 2 nights a week on Twitch.tv/DJ Switch PDX. I'm streaming a music show on Wednesday nights. I'm taking requests, all requests for 2 hours on a Wednesday night. And that's at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Or you can find me on Sunday nights streaming on Twitch with my podcast called Artificial Intelligence, gents as in gentlemen. It's myself and my road manager. We talk about all things tech culture, geek culture, and then it usually turns into just like a show and tell. We show off the stuff that we picked up that week.
Jason, Jeff was like one of those people, I think, like where you and I just immediately connected, even though I think you said he didn't like me when you first met me, but nobody does, really.
I get that.
I didn't say I
get
did
that.
not like you. I said I don't think you like anybody.
I understand.
I'm very aloof.
I understand that. Yeah, I understand.
Well, I
that.
used to go into his office
Why?
and try
I
to
was
sell
always
him
friendly
stuff.
with you.
No, you know what it is though? I also understand that like on a day where you guys would have reps come in, by the time I got there, you're like, what do you want? Like, or I would show you some really cool stuff and then your bosses wouldn't buy it. And that was a bummer.
So the problem was you kept showing up at 4:30 when you should have been showing up earlier in the day.
I don't know.
No, I was the guy there at 9 with breakfast.
All I can
Okay,
tell you is that
there you go.
whenever, but the perception of me sometimes is very, very wrong. I think once people actually talk, and I always say that, just call me, let's talk. You know, like I promise you, I'm not what you make.
You're a wise ass.
Think that is. I don't really care either way, to be honest with you. But, I'm just doing my thing here. You know.
Well, listen, there are a lot of important people in our industry that put aside so many things that they do because they're so passionate about this industry and this culture. And you're one of them now. I mean, we talk about guys like Brian Red and I mean, you know, just other people that are doing these things. And it's like, you're a part of that group. And, you know, you always ask me like, why do I keep doing this? I'm like, cause I want to be a part of that group too. You know, I was always the back office guy making deals happen, but was never up there in front of the people saying like, this is what I've been doing since 1994. And I want to continue to do it. Like when I'm around guys that are my, you know, my peers or even older than me. I mean, some of these guys that I've worked with can be in their 70s or 80s. And they're like, I was a pro audio rep when like the first speaker ever came out. And you're like, man, this is the guy I want to know his road stories. I want to learn from the old school guys. I want to learn from the new guys. I want to, you know, so that's why I want to do things like this. And then getting to meet people that are in Oregon and Texas and Nashville. I don't get to do that. And when I'm traveling to those places, I have a job to do. I don't get to hang out. So now this is why the DJ Hangout is awesome.
That's why I'm excited about going to Expo this year, where I'm not an employee of anybody, and I could just really go with my own agenda, doing what I know DJs need, and want to see, you know. And I'm excited about that. So it's
you're not going to have a stack of paper where you have to write all the purchase orders down and then run a credit card, you know, for 5 hours at the end of the day. Your job at DJ Expo was literally hell. Like I watched you. I couldn't even say hi to you half the times at Expo because your job was a nightmare.
It gets crazy, and part of it is me wanting to actually shake hands and talk to people and show gratitude to people who have given me their money over the years and helped me in that sense. And then the other side of it is, you know, I want stuff, I need stuff, and then, you know, they want other people over here that want to do business. So, like I said, it'll be nice this year where yes, I will be selling. I'm authorized to sell gear. I have access to stuff. Everybody knows that now. It's no secret anymore. But my role there will, of course, be that. But of course, I'll be there more, not more, but also as a reporter. You know, and that's kind of always the way I looked at the DJs Guru. Is there's no, you know, I just felt like there was a way for me to do it from the retail aspect, but by giving more to the DJs who need more, like Eric said earlier, and then just have questions, right? And it's an industry where not everyone fully understands the product sometimes, or every product that they carry. So if you're calling a guitar center, you might have, they have departments, right? But what if that guy's out that day and you get a guy in the DJ controller section that's really a guitar guy,
Listen, I always felt Guitar Center was a place you just go to steal knobs that you lost. Not that I did that.
Those are my
that's
showrooms
what it turned
now,
into.
Man. Those are my showrooms.
Right.
They've always been my showrooms. It's so funny. I used to get calls from there all the time, and they wouldn't even hit *67, and it would say like Guitar Center, like San Antonio or whatever, and they'd be like, "Is it? Hey, I'm. This is Joe. Are you really doing 10% off this product or whatever?" I'm like, Joe, just take the guy's money. He's right there in front of you. Just do it.
We know you're at Guitar
Take
Center.
the sale. I know you're at Guitar Center right now. Like, just take his money. Why are you making it so hard? Like Eric said before, I keep shouting at Eric. Why are you making it so hard to someone give you their money? They want to give you their money. Take their money and move on.
So, Switch, I got to ask you a question about Oregon. So, where we are, I'm in Connecticut by choice. It was just a better place for me to move my family to. It was more affordable. But I grew up just outside of, Manhattan with a 30-minute drive into the, right in there. I can throw a rock and walk into a pro audio or DJ store in Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, anywhere. What's it like for you out there? And, how much of a reach do you guys have with knowing places like where Justin used to work or these big online retailers? How do you guys shop out there?
Give them a shout out. Because I like them. Give them a shout out, Switch.
The store.
AGI. DJ.
Oh yeah.
I thought they were East Coast.
No, we're in Oregon.
No. So all right. So let me back that train up. So I didn't have as much of a choice. I was born here. Turns out you don't get to choose where you're born.
Turns out okay. You're a nice guy.
Yeah, I do all right out here. I like it out here. I have my entertainment career to thank for a lot of that. Actually, that was something that Justin and I were kind of talking about one time on a Facebook call. We were talking about how a lot of people out here on the West Coast, if they're not forced into a position where they have to own what they're saying, they get really comfortable with saying things that they don't have to take responsibility for. And it's a common problem out here on the West Coast. It's a common problem everywhere, but I'm aware enough to realize that it is definitely a problem out on the West Coast. And I don't have that problem, partially because I've spent so many years with a microphone on a stage. It's just, that comes
so
from
funny.
that.
That's like me. I can never F anybody over in business because where am I hiding? How am I going to get away with it? I've known that now since I started my Facebook page.
Yeah.
That's always in the back of my head. I can't that's just not who I am. But either way,
even unintentionally, if it was a mistake.
Because I can tell you I've never been called out on Facebook on my personal page. Never one time has that happened. And I've made it my job for that to not happen. I'm proactive about it. But
I had one person. I had one person one time try to call me out on a thing in the in the local community out here, the local nerd scene out here. And me being who I am and having been around this community for a long time, I was fortunate in that I didn't have to say anything. 17 people jumped on that person and was like, "No, you're full of shit." And I can prove it 9 ways. So it's like the old adage, actions speak louder than words. And so I think that's one place where Justin and I really connected, is that say what you mean what you say is very important, I think, to both of us. That being said, so to get back around to your question, there's a couple of big retailers out here, particularly in Oregon. AGI is a big one. They're based in Eugene, Oregon, which is about 2.5 hours south of me. And there's another actually huge DJ shop here in downtown Portland that's been around a long time. They're called Platinum Records. They also have a website, and they've been locally owned and operated for a very long time. And most of my guys are friends with literally every dude that works down there. And we've been buying stuff from them for a really long time. They're like the last holdout true DJ shop in Portland that caters to DJs. They're a record store first, but then the front half of the store is all records still to this day. and then you step past that sort of like break in the room.
I've heard of them before.
And in the back side of the room, it's walls of speakers, glass cases full of mixers and controllers and stacks of lighting in boxes, and it's the gear side of the shop is in the back half.
Probably like Rock and Soul is in New York City.
Similar, yeah, it's a similar kind of thing.
Shop, but they have the vinyl on the back, and then when you walk in, it's a lot of gear in the front. It's a lot of gear.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be doing my city justice if I didn't shout out Platinum Records. They've been here a long time, and they're kind of like the go-to for Portland.
That's why
proper.
I bring it up because
I sell gear, and I'm happy to shout out the good companies out there because they're not everyone does business in that kind of way, in a personal way, and I think DJs really appreciate that. And let me straight up, like you said earlier, Jay, they need that. They need that holistic approach.
And we should never let brick and mortar die, no matter what. Like we joke on Guitar Center and Sam Ash, and they deserve it because they've chosen their own destiny. It's not the DJs haven't, the guitar players haven't. They're doing it to themselves.
Yeah, but that's the only way you scale a corporation. That's it is what it is. You can't be authentic and genuine when you're that big. It's just very difficult to do it. Too many people involved, and you got shareholders, not to mention.
Right. So yeah, at the end of the day, they don't care about the culture. They just care about the dollars.
Yeah. And I think that's, for me, that was part of the thing that really pushed me into, following my dreams more and worrying less about dollars and just more about what I'm doing and knowing that the dollars will follow if you're passionate about what you're doing. So, guys, I'm exhausted. I may not be able to breathe any longer after this. It's after 10, and I love everybody, but I got to end it here. I'm the guy that's got to make that decision. So, Switch.
Yo.
My man, thank you very, very much. I want to thank everyone for watching tonight, getting back on the horse with us on the Hangouts here. Again, I'm not going to say we're going to do them every 2 weeks. I'm not going to make any promises that my brain can't.
You better go live from DJ Expo.
Yeah, that isn't always up to me with the internet connection in those rooms. So I don't know what it's going to be like at Hard Rock, so we'll see. But I can promise you that I'll be taking video, and then I'll be going up to my hotel room and posting stuff from the show, and I'll be doing a lot with stories and stuff like that. But and I'll do like a kind of a recap video. But anyway.
Switch, if you're ever out on the East Coast, you definitely got to look us up. We'll all hang out. I could take a ferry to Justin in less than an hour. I
almost had to go to Stanford, bro, because I was going to have to go to the passport office, but they're not even allowing people in, so I had to cancel a trip.
I'd like to, man. I haven't spent a lot of time on the East Coast, particularly the Northeast. I think the farthest north I've ever been is I want to say Gettysburg or maybe like DC. I spent a little bit of time out there when I was a teenager, but like I've never been to New York, and that's like one of the things on my checklist of places I'd like to go here in the States that I've never been to. So yeah, I'd like to go to New York for sure. My dad was originally from Maine, so I'd like to visit Maine maybe once and just kind of check the place out, just see what it's like out there on that side of the U.S. because I've been born and raised here on the West Coast, spent most of my time here.
You'll have a bunch of tour guides out this way, so
yeah, we got a lot of people in the DJs Guru fam up in Maine and the New England area.
Listen, we got casinos in Connecticut that have some of the sickest clubs in New England. So and a lot of the guys that are hanging out in these comments, Jay Palmero, Jay Free, Fader, like these guys. I mean, I'm not originally from Connecticut, and so like I kind of just trickle here and there in some places, but these guys run the show up here, especially in the casino. So you ever come out this way, Jay Fader's like me either. Anyway, you got a lot of tour guides out here. Manhattan's Manhattan. It's different now than what you might think, but just within 100 miles, I mean, there's 1,000 things to do. So
that's awesome, man.
It's coming back, dude. It's definitely coming back, and it's a city like New York. You can't. It doesn't die. It just evolves and it changes. I mean, listen, New York City in the 70s was disgusting. And in the 80s, a lot of it too. So
listen, Brooklyn's where it's at right now.
Yeah,
when you got guys like Black Coffee and Louis Vega doing 4th of July in Brooklyn and stuff like that. I mean, Manhattan's like, what? Why do we got to go there?
It's a scene in that little area over there right now. It really is. that's where if you want to hear house music, that's where you got to go now. Is Brooklyn. It's crazy. There's no big rooms in New York City anymore, you know, and there's not really any big rooms in Brooklyn, but that's where the scene is. Anyway, yeah,
right,
definitely come
girls.
down, and if you're in New York, you know you always have friends over here for sure. So yeah.
I love that, fellas. Thank you very much. I
There you go. We
appreciate
got
it.
work for you already. You already got jobs lined up.
Oh man.
Listen, make sure you
Oh,
follow us
man.
at the DJs Guru, and you know everything that we're doing here is about community and bringing people together. And listen, if I can help you out and sell you something, and I'm happy to do that. If we're just friends and we're just pals, and you already have a relationship with somebody else, that's great. At some point, I promise you, I'll be able to help you. So definitely check us out at the DJsGuru.com.
Friggin' DJ Darth Vader just offered me work, so I think you're already helping more than you know, man. That's awesome.
Well, believe me, I know what I do here makes sales for other companies because nobody, you know, does things the way that I do them this way in
Sure.
retail. But that's okay. You know, the people that, you know, that's what it's about. It's about sharing. It's about helping. And
He's fading. He's
I'm
fading.
fine. How much money do you really need? You know.
5 million.
That's
I've already
the-
put
that-
a cap on
Yeah,
it.
that's the way I am, and I'm always going to be people over profit. That's just the way that I am, and you know, it is
The
what
most
it is.
important thing is a face to the company, and that's where you've always been successful. It's like it's not just a website where if you try to hit contact, you don't know what state they're in, you don't know anything. It's like, I know Justin, I know his name, I know his middle initial, I know he lives in Long Island. Like, this guy is not going to screw me over.
I always had
he's
to
gonna
show
do what
the
he can.
M there because I always knew Justin Michaels was coming back, so I had to leave the M in there when I brought back.
Justin Michaels sounds like a 1990s WWF wrestler.
That's my name, Justin Michael Schwartz. So what was I going to be? DJ Slipmat? I was like, I couldn't, you know, I couldn't
DJ
come up with some
Slipmat.
rinky-dink name. I don't know. No offense, DJ Switch.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Sorry.
It's only listen. It's
sorry.
only
But
20 years
again-
of my life. It's fine.
Justin Michaels, to me, you know, I liked it. Whatever. I don't care. if you
Listen,
don't like it. I
I'm
liked
just
it. It's my
Jay
name.
because DJ J has got to be the lamest name ever. DJ J. So I was like, no, it's just Jay.
I think you should just be Convict, like Akon now, like just
I mean,
Convict.
What am I going to do when I get out of Facebook jail? I might be like so wild that I get thrown back in.
Maybe you just don't go back on Facebook as much.
Maybe Cuomo needs to do bail reform for Facebook convicts.
Could be worse, man. You could be born with the name Jeff and then become a DJ and have literally every kid in your high school go, "Oh, what, like Jazzy Jeff?" No.
I guess
At
you
least
couldn't
they
be
know who
No.
he is.
DJ Jeff. Yeah, exactly. Well, again, and that's a part of empathy, right? Like you could go, oh, DJ Switch, right? But then you got to think about like why did he choose that name, right? There's a reason. Everybody has a story to tell. So let's not label and judge until we know that story. You know?
I would be happy
what
to
I'm
tell
learning.
that story if you've got another hour on your hands.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm 3 hours ahead of you, pal. This guy's like, yeah, another hour. It's 7:12. It's 10:12 over here, pal. I don't know why I'm saying pal so much tonight. But listen, thank you, gentlemen, and
you.
thank you for everyone
Thank
who's
you.
watching. And you know, you guys know where to reach me if you need help with
Switch, hit me
anything.
up on Facebook, friend request me, but I can't accept it until 2 weeks from today. So
Noted.
Oh, and that said, Mark Zuckerberg. I got him through the back door, brother. I got him through the back door.
backdoored him in.
I backdoored him in through my StreamYard
All this shit
opening.
that I talk on the internet, I used to have a non-DJ related show that we just talk shit about current events, and I get thrown in jail for telling a event planner to go park cars. Ugh.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching tonight. DJ Switch, PDX, Jason, Convict, Just Jay.
You got to get the Akon sample.
Lombardo,
Convict.
our
remix.
AV specialist, who really flexed his AV muscles with the last time you did that show. That was impressive, Jay. Good stuff.
What?
I have to cut that up. I haven't cut that up and shared that when you did the audio Q&A.
Listen, I'm waiting for the one day
There
where
was
we
so
do
many
vintage
nuggets.
gear.
Been so
Where we
busy.
do vintage gear and I line up all the shit that I've collected over the years, and you're just like, okay, there's something wrong with you.
There is a litany of ideas. There's only so much time, though, you know. So
All
we
right.
try to do as much as we can.
Bedtime.
Thank you, guys. I'm gonna sign off now and pass out. All right. Thanks
Good night,
everyone
y'all.
It was a pleasure,
for
guys.
watching. We'll see you on the next one. We'll see you soon. Take care. Check us out, the DJs Guru on all socials and the DJsGuru.com. From us to you here, we'll see you on the flip side.
Later.
Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Peace.